Lying in the hospital bed, Zhou Wei looked terribly emaciated, his lips parched and cracked. Looking like a ghoul crawling straight out of hell. In a hoarse, weak voice, he gasped, "Water, water. I need water," but there was only dead silence around him. No one answered, forcing his failing body to move. Zhou Wei leaned against the wall and dragged himself to the door, step by agonizing step. Suddenly, he heard his wife, Luo Shusha's voice. His heart leapt with joy. He couldn't wait to tell her that he was finally awake. But from outside the door, Luo Shusha's hushed voice drifted in. "Stop touching me, we're in a hospital, someone might see us, so what? That bastard Joe only has a few days left to live anyway. That medicine works like a charm. Besides, our son is in full control of the Zhou group now. Our best days are just beginning." Zhou Wei slumped against the wall, so shocked he nearly collapsed. The wife he loved so deeply, and his absolute best friend, had betrayed him all along. "That's because I'm a genius. The woman who slept with Zhou Wei back then was actually Shu Rong. If I hadn't dumped that brat in the mountains, we wouldn't be living the high life today." Every single word felt like a dagger twisting in Zhou Wei's heart. Hearing this horrific truth, his terminally ill body finally gave out. He grabbed the table, but crashed heavily to the floor. Outside, Luo Shusha and Chen Guangwen heard the crash. They exchanged a panicked look, and violently shoved the door open. Zhou Wei was sprawled on the floor. He used every ounce of his strength to swat Luo Shusha's hand away, croaking, "Get your filthy hands off me. How could you do this to me? What did I ever do to deserve this?" His eyes were completely filled with shock, blazing hatred, and absolute despair. But Luo Shusha just burst out laughing. With fake tears in her eyes, she sneered, "You uneducated peasant. If it wasn't for your dad being the village accountant, you think I ever would have married you? In your dreams." Every single word pierced him like 1,000 needles, suffocating him. "Luo Shusha, did you ever even love me? Even a little bit? And what about our son? Never, not even for a second." Chen Guangwen then chimed in, revealing that he was the one who murdered Zhou Wei's mother and his biological son. "We really have to thank you for giving Shusha that ancestral jade pendant. Turns out, it held a magical, hidden dimension." It all finally clicked for Zhou Wei. This entire twisted conspiracy all started with the jade pendant he gave her as a token of his love. Overwhelmed, Zhou Wei violently threw up a mouthful of blood, splattering it all over the 3 people at the door. The son he had lovingly raised for years. Zhou Haokai just wiped it off in disgust. "Gross. What terrible luck. Is that old geezer dead yet? I can't believe he actually transferred away 1/3 of our assets." Face pale as death, Zhou Wei let out a chilling laugh, staring at the boy he had raised for over 20 years. "Drop the act. You've known you weren't my real son this whole time, haven't you? Am I right?" At that very moment, the last flicker of hope in his eyes shattered completely. Chen Guangwen, obsessed with the money, frantically asked, 1/3 of the assets? He moved them away? When the hell did this happen? Zhou Wei looked at their repulsive, greedy faces. Suddenly, an eerie calm washed over him. "You really want to know where the money is? Come a little closer, and I'll tell you." Seeing that Zhou Wei was practically a corpse already, the 3 of them dropped their guard and leaned in. In that split second, Zhou Wei snatched a fruit knife. Using every last ounce of his strength, he swung it in a deadly arc. Blood sprayed everywhere. Chen Guangwen collapsed in pure terror, and Luo Shusha caught the blade right after him. Right before he lost consciousness, Zhou Wei's entire life flashed before his eyes. A sudden wave of dizziness hit him, and incredibly, he was transported back 30 years in time. As his head cleared, Wang Shaolin's voice rang in his ears, "If you want to marry our Shusha, your family has to cough up $500 for the bride price. And we won't settle for anything less than a bike, watch, sewing machine, and a radio. Oh, and the scorekeeper job, too." Zhou Wei gave himself a hard pinch. He gasped in pain, staring wide-eyed at the familiar scene unfolding right in front of him. Wasn't this exactly 30 years ago, back when their 2 families were hashing out his marriage? He had actually been reborn. Kui Yufang was the first to jump up in absolute fury. She screamed, $500 for a bride price? And you want the bike, watch, sewing machine, and radio? On top of handing over the scorekeeper job? You've got to be out of your damn mind. Her outburst echoed exactly what the rest of the Zhou family was thinking. Wang Shaolin crossed her arms, snapping back, "Oh, like you can even compare to our Shusha. My Shusha actually went to middle school. And as for her looks, in the whole Makwanzi production brigade, she is the absolute prettiest girl. That bride price should be high." She insisted stubbornly. It was painfully obvious she wanted to bleed the Zhou family dry. Zhou Yuliang tapped his tobacco pipe against the table. He spoke with absolute finality. $500 is just way too much. I have 3 sons and I have to treat them all equally. I can only offer $100 max. If anyone wants to add to that bride price, they'll have to figure it out themselves. I thought we had a deal? Say something. Then the wedding is off. Everyone in the room thought they had heard him wrong. Wang Xiaolian flew into a furious rage, cursing, "You're just a dirty thug. You're just playing with our Shusha's feelings. Where's your proof? I haven't even held her hand. Go ahead and report me to the commune, I've got nothing to hide." Wang Xiaolian spat in disgust, dropping a vicious threat, "Zhou Wei. Don't you dare regret this. It's not like my Shusha is desperate to marry you anyway." Luo Shusha sneered and shot back, "Fine, don't marry me then. I don't need to marry you anyway." But deep down, the only one she was thinking about was Chen Guangwen. Once they stepped out of the Zhou family's house, Wang Xiaolian smacked Luo Shusha hard on the shoulder, scolding, "You stupid girl. I told you to be nice to Zhou Wei and butter him up. Did you not listen to a word I said?" She still wasn't ready to give up, secretly scheming to make the marriage happen anyway. Later at noon, sitting at the Zhou family dinner table, Zhou Wei put down his chopsticks and looked at them seriously. "Mom, Dad. I meant every word I said today. I am not marrying Luo Shusha. The one she really likes is Chen Guangwen. Those two have been hooking up behind my back for a long time." Just as Zhou Wei stepped outside, he bumped into Niu Deshan, who was rushing over in a panic. Niu Deshan was panting heavily as he blurted out, "Zhou Wei. That Luo Shusha is a total fraud. She's got something shady going on with Chen Guangwen. Don't let her play you for a fool." But in this lifetime, Zhou Wei just calmly replied, "I know." He looked at Niu Deshan and suggested with a smirk, "What's the fun in keeping this to ourselves?" Niu Deshan instantly caught his drift. He bolted over to the educated youth camp and shouted, "Hey, did your chickens get loose again?" Hearing the commotion, the crowd quickly followed him toward the back of the house to catch the chickens. Meanwhile, inside a rundown thatched hut, Luo Shusha was blushing intensely, having just finished listening to Chen Guangwen recite a cheesy love poem. Her eyes were full of lust. Like a sparking flame to dry wood, the two of them eagerly tangled up in each other's arms. Outside, Zhou Wei heard the faint sound of panting, confirming they were still in there. He was just waiting for the good show to start. As soon as Ruiying opened the door, a few of the young men rushed right in to catch the chicken, but suddenly, it went dead silent inside. The people outside yelled anxiously, "How did the chicken disappear again?" Everyone poked their heads in to look. They didn't see any chicken, but instead, they caught a pair of illicit lovers in the act. The two inside were scared deathly pale by the intruders, still frozen in each other's arms in a complete daze. Someone gasped in shock, "Why the hell are you two in here? And you're still hugging? Comrade Luo, aren't you dating Comrade Zhou?" Niu Deshan dragged Zhou Wei as he squeezed through the crowd, furiously cursing at the Luo woman. "You string Zhou Wei along to date you, scamming him out of his money and his feelings, while secretly hooking up with Chen Guangwen. You are so damn shameless." Seeing the two of them wrapped around each other with his own eyes, Zhou Wei still gritted his teeth in sheer hatred. He spoke coldly, "Luo Shusha. Just this morning you asked me for 500 in a bride price, plus a bike, a watch, a sewing machine, a radio, and a job. My family couldn't afford it, so you turned right around and hooked up with Chen Guangwen." The moment he said this, the whole crowd gasped in shock. Niu Deshan's eyes bugged out as he cursed, 500 for a bride price? And you still want the bicycle, watch, sewing machine, radio, and a job? I spit on that. A female youth chimed in, even in the city, we've never seen a bride price that ridiculously high. The bystander's eyes were filled with even more disgust. It's not like that. I didn't. It's not like that. I didn't. After saying that, he forcefully shoved Luo Shusha away. Luo Shusha stumbled hard, and lunged toward Zhou Wei again. But Zhou Wei dodged to the side in absolute disgust. Zhou Wei. This isn't what it looks like. You have to believe me. You two were literally hugging and kissing. So, what are you telling me now? That Chen Guangwen was sexually assaulting you? Zhou Wei, what are you trying to do? I wasn't assaulting anyone. Oh, so you're saying Comrade Luo Shusha was the one sexually assaulting you, then? That single sentence forced both of them to turn as white as ghosts. Still hugging and cuddling? Or is it just that you two are having a filthy affair? Chen Guangwen stuttered, completely at a loss for words. Zhou Wei grabbed him and slammed him hard onto the ground, pinning him down and delivering a brutal beating. The other guys wanted to step in and break it up, but they were blocked by Niu Deshan. He warned the crowd, "My man Joe fights like an absolute maniac. If you guys don't want to get caught in the crossfire, I highly suggest you don't step up and catch a beating yourselves." Hearing the logic in that, everyone immediately stayed put. "Yeah. Joe Wei, stop it. Do you still want to be with me or not?" But Joe Wei acted like he didn't even hear her, his fists swinging even more viciously. It wasn't until he beat Chen Guangwen down so bad he couldn't move, that Niu Deshan finally stepped up to pull him off. Joe Wei rubbed his knuckles, suddenly spotting the jade pendant around Chen Guangwen's neck. He yanked it off with a vicious tug. Holding up the jade pendant, he interrogated, "Comrade Luo Shusha, why is the token of my love that I gave to you, hanging around this Chen guy's neck?" Luo Shusha instantly froze. "Joe Wei, do you really have to do this? Can't we go back and talk about this later? What could you possibly have to say that can't be said right here? If you haven't done anything wrong, what the hell are you afraid of?" Luo Shusha tried to use their marriage to manipulate Joe Wei, saying she could ask for a lower bride price. But Joe Wei cut her off with absolute resolve. "No. It's too late. You're filthy now. I don't want you anymore." Luo Shusha was struck dumb. She never expected those words to come out of his mouth. Forcing a brave face, Luo Shusha argued, "That is not your jade pendant at all. It just looks a little similar, that's all." She even tried to make up a lame excuse, claiming they were just out looking for a lost chicken. Furious, Niu Deshan yelled, "We all saw you two hugging each other. You were even kissing, and you still won't admit it? If you're saying this isn't the pendant I gave you, then bring out the one I gave you. Let's see it." Luo Shusha avoided his gaze, simply muttering that she had left the pendant at home. Niu Deshan was worried Joe Wei might actually fall for it, but then he heard Joe Wei say, "Then go home right now. And bring it here for me to see." Luo Shusha was too furious to even speak. She didn't have the pendant at home at all, and she was beginning to suspect that something was very wrong with Joe Wei today. "Shusha, tell me, how have I treated you all these years?" he asked, his voice filled with heartbreak. The fact that she would just turn around and hook up with Chen Guangwen over a bride price truly disappointed him. "If we don't clear this up today, we are done as a couple." Joe Wei's words made the crowd feel sorry for him. Right then, neighbors eating from their rice bowls started gathering around to watch the drama. In a panic, Luo Shusha kicked Chen Guangwen. Forcing himself to act tough, Chen Guangwen stammered out an excuse, "That jade pendant is a family heirloom of mine." "It's not yours. Then tell me, what makes this pendant so special?" "It's just an ordinary jade pendant. It just has a lucky cloud pattern on it, that's all." Luo Shusha immediately chimed in, urging him to give the pendant back. The crowd took a closer look. The pendant really did have a lucky cloud pattern. Some folks started telling Joe Wei to just hand it back to Chen Guangwen. A female youth even scolded him, "Just look at what you did. You beat him up way too badly. How could an educated guy like Chen ever fall for a village girl like Luo Shusha anyway? Are you blind? That creep is trying to cuckold our boy Joe Wei. So what if he got beat up? And let me tell you, I've seen Joe Wei wearing this pendant since we were kids. It definitely doesn't belong to Chen Guangwen. Niu Deshan, keep your mouth shut. Since when do you get a say in this? You little tramp. You're just a vain, selfish bitch." "Yeah, I said it, so what? Don't you ever hang around people like this again. It's either me or him. This pendant is only passed down to the eldest sons of the Chen family." Joe Wei shouted, cutting off the argument. He then turned to Chen Guangwen, asking if he was absolutely sure it belonged to the Chen family. Chen Guangwen nodded firmly, repeating that it was a Chen family heirloom for the eldest son. "Well then, I just don't get it. Why exactly does your precious Chen family heirloom have the Zhou family surname carved right into it?" He flipped the pendant over, showing the bottom to the crowd. Sharp-eyed folks immediately yelled, "Oh wow, there really is a word on it. It says Zhou." Chen Guangwen leaned in for a closer look. Sure enough, it was the character for Zhou. The blood drained from his face instantly. Joe Wei mocked him, "If you're going to steal things, maybe you should buy some glasses first." Confused, Qin Dongsho turned to Chen. "Did you seriously steal Joe Wei's pendant?" Then turning to Luo Shusha, "Did you swap out Chen's heirloom pendant?" "Qin, what the hell are you babbling about?" But Qin Dongsho refused to back down. She called her a dirty-minded snake, telling her to stop ruining Chen's life. Qin Dongsho and Luo Shusha's screaming match grew vicious, and before long, they were literally pulling each other's hair. Joe Wei wanted to use the chaos to finally cut ties with Luo Shusha, but Niu Deshan grabbed him and yanked him out of the crowd. The crowd scrambled, yelling, "Hey, knock it off. Stop fighting," right as everyone was rushing over to break up the catfight. Boom! The rickety old thatched hut suddenly completely caved in. The people inside were crushed, sent tumbling in every direction. Terrified screams echoed through the air. Ah, somebody help us. The house collapsed. The brigade captain rushed to the scene. Seeing the absolute mess, he rubbed his temples and yelled, "Hurry up and save them. Quick, get them out." Once he finally figured out what had actually happened, he gave Chen Guangwen a speechless look, knowing damn well this wasn't just a simple accident. Luo Shusha is Zhou Wei's girl. Rumor has it, those two were already planning their wedding. What the hell are you doing playing the hooligan? You'll catch a bullet for that. Chen Guangwen and Luo Shusha frantically denied it, swearing they just bumped into each other while trying to catch a chicken. But hey, when they were hiding in that room making out, that chicken hadn't even gone missing yet. You two still haven't explained why the keepsake I gave to comrade Luo Shusha somehow ended up on Chen Guangwen. The captain saw right through their bullshit. Luo Shusha pleaded with Zhou Wei for help, but he stood there, completely cold and unfazed. The captain then asked Qin Dongsho why she had joined the brawl. Qin Dongsho muttered angrily, "Luo Shusha seduced and framed Chen, the educated youth. I just couldn't stand by and watch. Those two were sleeping around and stealing. Everybody saw it. If they won't admit it, just call the cops and let them investigate." Chen Guangwen and Luo Shusha's faces instantly drained of color, just as the captain was about to try and reason with Wang Xiaolian. A screeching voice pierced the air. "Call what cops? Nobody is calling the cops. Zhou Wei, are you out of your mind? Shusha is your girl." She charged at him, using the wedding as a threat. "There are plenty of young men out there who'd love to have her. If you keep throwing this tantrum, don't blame us when we take this opportunity away from you. I don't want your damn opportunity. Go find someone else. I couldn't care less." "And what exactly do you mean by that?" "Means your daughter is filthy now, and I don't want her anymore." He publicly laid out every single thing Luo Shusha had done, making it crystal clear that he would never, ever marry her. Everything Luo Shusha had pulled on him over the years basically amounted to pure fraud. "You have to give everything back. If you don't, I'll go straight to the cops and spell it all out for them. I'll make sure they charge you with the illicit affairs, the hooliganism, the theft, and the fraud, every single bit of it." Zhou Wei's words made the whole crowd gasp in shock. Wang Xiaolian started to panic, too. She quickly plastered on a sickeningly sweet smile. "Oh, Zhou Wei, dear. Let's just talk this out nicely, okay? We can lower the bride price a little. This isn't about the money. Comrade Luo Shusha is someone I am absolutely never going to marry, and you must return the money. And I am calling the cops." He turned and told Niu Deshan to go get the police. Wang Xiaolian completely lost her mind with panic, and Chen Guangwen nearly dropped to his knees. He frantically confessed, "Zhou Wei, I admit it. Shusha gave me that jade pendant. Please, don't call the cops." Wang Xiaolian threw a massive tantrum, desperately grabbing onto Niu Deshan. The captain finally had to step in and mediate. "Have them write up a formal confession. Tomorrow, they'll apologize to you over the brigade's loudspeaker, and then they'll pay you compensation. How does that sound? I know you're furious, but if this blows up into a huge scandal, it won't be good for anyone. Xiao Wei, we're all neighbors here. Let's just listen to the captain." Zhou Wei thought it over for a second. He agreed that, out of respect for his father and the captain, he wouldn't call the cops. But they must write that confession. And I want a public apology tomorrow. Zhou Wei wasn't done making demands. "Chen Guangwen stole my jade pendant, so he pays 50. And for years of fraud and emotional distress, Luo Shusha owes me 500 in total." Wang Xiaolian jumped up in shock. "What? $500? Why don't you just rob us?" "Rob you? Do you want me to list everything out one by one for everyone to hear?" If he really calculated every penny, it would probably be way more than that. Luo Shusha's face went pale. She had no choice but to agree to pay him back. Luo Shusha said, "I just didn't expect you'd ask back for things you already gave me. You're actually taking back the gifts you gave me? You used dating as an excuse to scam me out of my stuff, so why the hell shouldn't I take it back?" "Damn right I should take it back." Meanwhile, in the clearing at the edge of the village, the villagers surrounded Luo Shusha, pointing fingers at her. Someone shouted that it was her fault for tricking the poor guy in the first place. Someone else chimed in, saying Zhou Wei used to bring her big meat buns all the time, along with eggs, brown sugar, pastries, and candies. $500 was actually letting her off easy. If you didn't like the guy, you shouldn't have taken his things. Others worried this kind of behavior would set a bad example for the local girls, scamming young men out of their hard-earned cash and ration coupons. In the end, everyone agreed that this kind of nonsense had to be stopped. Luo Shusha gritted her teeth in absolute fury, glaring daggers at Niu Deshan. She had thought the villagers would take her side and shame Zhou Wei out of asking for his money back. She never expected to become public enemy number one. Seeing that things were going south, Luo Jiyoung quietly slipped away and hid back at home. Say that one more time and I'll rip your damn mouths off. She even claimed that because the Zhou family couldn't afford the bride price, Luo Shusha had no choice but to go to Chen, the educated youth. Her insults got nastier and nastier, completely pissing off the rest of the village. The villagers fired back one by one, completely shouting Wang Xiaolian down until she couldn't say another word. The team leader finally yelled for everyone to stop, bringing the shouting match back to the main issue. Quiet down, all of you. He ordered Luo Shusha and Chen Guangwen to write a confession letter right then and there. Pay back whatever money you have right now. Even though Chen Guangwen was furious about it, he still wrote out the confession. He quickly coughed up $50 and handed it over to Zhou Wei. As far as he was concerned, as long as his future career was safe, losing $50 was totally worth it. We really just don't have that much cash on us right now. But the team leader didn't buy it. Niu Deshan rolled up his sleeves and shouted, "No money? Then you can pay him back with the stuff in your house." After Zhou Wei gave a nod of approval, Niu Deshan and the Zhou brothers marched straight toward the Luo family's house. Panicking, Wang Xiaolian rushed forward to stop them. "No, you can't go in there. We don't have anything worth taking." But there was absolutely no way she could stop them. They pushed right past her. Furious, Wang Xiaolian turned around and took her anger out on Luo Shusha, grabbing her arm with an iron grip. She shrieked, "You stupid brat. This is all your fault." "Mom, stop it, that hurts. Guangwen, please, help me." Luo Jiyoung had barely gotten home when he saw the angry mob marching towards their house. He nearly wet his pants in terror. What do you guys think you're doing? We're not here for Luo Shusha. We're here to collect a debt. We're taking whatever's valuable. Luo Jiyoung threw his arms out, trying to block the door. But he was no match for a group of strong, angry guys. They shoved him to the ground in seconds. The men stormed in and started grabbing everything, hauling out cabinets, taking the big iron walk, and even rolling away the bicycle. They didn't even spare the chickens in the coop. By the time Wang Xiaolian finally caught up, she saw her house completely stripped bare. She collapsed on the dirt in tears, absolutely devastated. Luo Shusha stared at Zhou Wei as if looking at a stranger, realizing with dread, she had really pushed him too far this time. We'll just have to pay him back first, and coax him into giving it back later. Chen Guangwen, please, you've got to help me. He felt a pang of heartache at first, but in the next second, he immediately clutched his pockets. Wang Xiaolian rushed over like a shark smelling blood, demanding that Chen Guangwen help the Luo family pay off their debt. If you don't help us pay off this money, we'll go straight to the commune and report you for hooliganism. Hey, you were the ones who asked him for those things, not me. Wang Xiaolian grew even fiercer, stubbornly pinning all the blame on Chen Guangwen. She insisted that he was the reason Zhou Wei dumped Luo Shusha, which caused this whole debt collection mess in the first place. Chen Guangwen's face turned grim at the threat, but in the end, he had no choice but to swallow his bad luck. He agreed to cover the rest of the money, which was only $150. Widow Luo, are you sure your family doesn't have a single penny? I literally saw you guys eating meat just yesterday. Everyone's eyes instantly snapped toward the three members of the Luo family. Wang Xiaolian's face turned pale with anger. She stubbornly denied having any money, but Luo Jiyoung glanced guiltily over at the small cabinet. Zhou Wei caught that look immediately and stepped right over to it. Oh, look at how rushed we were. We completely forgot to take the things out of the cabinet. For you, auntie. He then yanked open the very bottom drawer. A metal box clattered onto the floor, sending cash and ration coupons scattering everywhere. The crowd immediately gasped in shock. And Widow Luo said she was broke. So she was hiding it all here. Wang Xiaolian lunged forward like a madwoman to snatch it back. But Zhou Wei was quicker, snatching up the cash and coupons before she could reach them. Adding up the items you already traded in, that makes a total of $386. And 72 cents. Let's round up the coupons to make it an even 390. Wang Xiaolian, you still owe $110. Hearing this, Wang Xiaolian's eyes rolled back and she passed out cold. Zhou Wei, are you really going to push me to the edge like this? Comrade Luo Shusha, please watch your tone. Paying back what you owe is just common sense. You can write an IOU for the rest of the money and pay it back after the autumn harvest. As of today, we are completely done with each other. Whoever we end up marrying is none of the other's business. Luo Shusha stared at him in utter disbelief. She couldn't believe such heartless words were actually coming out of Zhou Wei's mouth. The production captain brought over a pen and paper, making Luo Shusha write out the IOU. Luo Shusha shot a pitiful, teary-eyed look at Chen Guangwen, whose face was completely dark. In the end, he reluctantly pulled a wad of cash from his pocket, counted out 110 bucks, and shoved it over to Zhou Wei. The debt was finally cleared, and the crowd of onlookers slowly began to scatter. Zhou Wei grabbed the money and walked out of the Luo family's house, leaving behind an absolute mess in the courtyard. Wang Xiaolian was passed out on the ground, while Luo Shusha was boiling with resentment. Chen Guangwen was also looking incredibly grim. Back at the Zhou family's table, Zhou Wei pulled out the cash, keeping half of it for himself. He handed the rest over to Lu Kuihua and said with a serious tone, "Mom, Dad, take this money. You can spend it however you want." Hearing that the family finally had some money, a few kids poked their heads in, looking super excited. "Grandma, do we get to eat meat now?" they yelled. Another kid chimed in, "I want meat. I want to eat meat too." For the first time in a long time, the house was filled with a joyful buzz. Inside the Zhou family's main hall, Lu Kuihua glanced over at her quiet, speechless husband. He pressed the money back into Zhou Wei's hands, saying with an aching heart, "Keep this money for yourself. Save it for when you get married. Both of your older brothers and your sister are already married with kids. Now, it's just you and Hongyan left. Your mom and I can't take this. It's your money. I want you all to be clear. Even though your little brother can be foolish sometimes, he has never taken anything from this house to give away. He earned all of that by hunting up in the mountains. Your mom and I can afford to feed you. After the huge scene that happened today, it's probably gonna be pretty tough for you to find a nice girl. This money is your safety net." Hearing this, Zhou Wei had no choice but to put the money away. Back in his own little room, Zhou Wei counted the 390-odd yuan he had gotten back today. He tucked the cash into a cloth bag and then pulled out that jade pendant. Remembering the magical space inside the pendant that Chen Guangwen had mentioned in his past life, he felt incredibly eager to test it out. Zhou Wei fiddled with the jade pendant for ages, but he just couldn't figure out how to unlock it. Just then, the work bell rang outside, and Zhou Yuliang shouted from the yard, "Get up, time to head to the fields." Zhou Wei had no choice but to pack his things away. He followed his family out to work. Out in the fields, Zhou Wei had just grabbed his hoe. When Niu Deshan sauntered over with his own hoe resting on his shoulder, he asked, "Hey, old Zhou, you heading up the mountain after we're done here?" Zhou Wei thought for a second, and simply agreed to go. But Niu Deshan still seemed a bit unsure. He asked hesitantly, "Old Zhou, are you really over Luo Shusha? That doesn't sound like you at all." Zhou Wei looked him dead in the eye and said, "I'm really over her. Old Niu, thanks to you, I've finally seen her true colors. She's just a vain, manipulative woman. I'm never falling for her again. Don't you worry about that." Meanwhile, the older women in the fields were gossiping as they worked. Wang Dahua craned her neck, looking around before saying, "Hey, how come the Luo family isn't out working this afternoon? I've looked all over and haven't seen hide nor hair of them." Well, after such a huge scandal, how could they possibly have the nerve to show their faces? "I always said that girl was a little too flirty and restless. It's gonna be a nightmare finding a match for her now." The women kept arguing over whether Chen Guangwen would actually marry Luo Shusha, but Zhou Wei just kept his head down and focused on his work. He acted like he hadn't heard a single word. Once their shift was over, Zhou Wei and Niu Deshan quietly slipped away to the back of the mountain. They went straight to check the traps they had set earlier. Suddenly, Niu Deshan let out a wild, excited shout. "Old Zhou, get over here, quick. We caught a big one." Down at the bottom of the trap lay a wounded wild boar. The boar had to weigh around 100 jin. Zhou Wei and Niu Deshan locked eyes. Absolutely thrilled, working together, the two of them finished off the beast. They hauled it to the black market in town and sold it for 86 yuan, splitting the cash right down the middle. Back at the Luo family's house, Wang Xiaolian was lying on the Kong bed, groaning and moaning in pain. She wouldn't stop complaining about Luo Shusha. Luo Jiyoung finally couldn't hold back either, "Sister, Zhou Wei did absolutely everything for you. Why on earth did you have to go and seduce that Chen guy? Now I don't even have my bicycle anymore." Luo Shusha felt incredibly wronged. Finally, she snapped. She screamed right back at her mother and brother. "You guys always blame everything on me. How come nobody says a word when I bring good things to this family? And Zhou Wei only treated me like that because you were so damn greedy, Mom. That's why he turned on me. So what if I like Chen? Is that such a crime? He's from the capital city, you know, educated and cultured. How bad could he possibly be?" After saying that, he slammed the door and went back to his room, leaving the mother and son staring at each other. As Zhou Wei walked home, a figure suddenly flashed before his eyes. It turned out to be Chen Guangwen waiting for him at the door. Chen Guangwen spoke earnestly. Comrade Zhou, I want to discuss something with you. That jade pendant, could you sell it to me? After all, things ended so badly between you and Xu Sha, keeping it will only upset you. Why not name a price and sell it to me? What do you say? Hearing this, Zhou Wei narrowed his eyes, carefully sizing up the man in front of him. Lost in thought, Zhou Wei quickly regained his composure, staring intently at Chen Guangwen, not missing a single shift in his expression. He asked, "Educated youth Chen, why are you so obsessed with our Zhou family's heirloom jade pendant? You're even willing to pay a high price for it." Well, it's just that I think it looks very similar to my family's heirloom pendant. I accidentally lost mine while working out in the fields. I figured I'd buy yours, so I can at least explain things to my parents when I go back, right? Think about it, Zhou Wei sneered inwardly. He knew the Chen family didn't have any heirloom pendant. Even though Chen Guangwen came from the capital, his family was actually quite poor. Zhou Wei coldly spat out 2 words. Not selling. After saying that, he stepped past Chen Guangwen and headed straight home. I'll offer $20. Think it over. 25 bucks is considered a high price? I really overestimated Chen Guangwen. So he kept walking home without looking back. Wei, why are you back so late? I left your food warm in the pot. Hurry up and eat. Okay, Mom, let's kill a chicken tomorrow and make some chicken soup. Don't we have hazel and pine mushrooms at home? Alright, we'll kill a chicken tomorrow and stew it. Since we have mushrooms anyway. Your second brother and his wife were just whispering about eating chicken this afternoon. But since the youngest son brought the chickens back, it was naturally up to him. Lu Kuiwa watched her youngest son go to the kitchen for dinner, her heart filled with relief. Out of their 3 sons, she and her husband loved Zhou Wei the most. Because there was a massive flood when he was born. He was premature and almost didn't make it. Now he had finally come to his senses regarding that Luo family girl. Zhou Wei finished his dinner and took a cold shower. As he walked past his second brother's door, he vaguely heard the words chicken, money, and jade pendant coming from inside. But he didn't pay it any mind and went straight into his room next door. Zhou Wei's room had been cleaned spotlessly by his mother, neat and tidy. She had even burned mugwort to drive away the mosquitoes. A faint scent of mugwort floated in the air, making the small room feel exceptionally peaceful. In his dream, Zhou Wei couldn't see his surroundings clearly. Suddenly, he tripped over something. Right after, the heavy fog dissipated, and a brightly lit courtyard appeared. A white-haired old man spoke slowly. This place is the illusion within the jade. Inside, there is a spiritual domain, formed by the accumulated karma of the Zhou ancestors. Fated one, are you a descendant of the Zhou family? Yes, I am. Ha 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 ha. Since you are the fated one, this spiritual domain is now yours. I hope you will use it well in the days to come, and never do anything wicked or cruel. Always remember the law of karma. It would be even better if you could do something to benefit the country and its people. With those words, the white-haired old man vanished into thin air, leaving Zhou Wei's mind completely filled with questions. He wanted to ask how to activate the space, and if karma had anything to do with his rebirth. He also wanted to ask how Chen Guangwen managed to activate it in his past life. But before he could even utter a single word, a sudden wave of weightlessness hit him, and he jolted awake, springing right off the bed. Only to realize it was all just a dream. Zhou Wei instinctively reached for the jade pendant resting on his chest, and softly muttered, "Spiritual domain space." The moment the words left his lips, whoosh, he was instantly pulled right back into the space. Landing steadily on his feet, he saw that the scenery before him was exactly the same as in his dream. Inside the spiritual domain space, an antique courtyard was brightly lit, complete with a small bridge, flowing water, green bamboos, and tiny flowers. There were even fresh vegetables and fruits growing out in the backyard, along with a little stream trickling right by. Zhou Wei was totally blown away and thrilled. He pinched his thigh as hard as he could, wincing in pain. That finally confirmed he wasn't dreaming. He excitedly explored the courtyard, and found out the space had a storage feature and even a user manual. Zhou Wei quickly realized that this space could hold living creatures and keep things perfectly fresh. The only bummer was that there was no legendary magic spring, but even so, he was still too pumped to sleep, tinkering around all night long. Until the next morning, he walked out of his room rocking huge dark circles. After breakfast, Zhou Wei, still sporting those massive dark circles, followed his family to the fields for work. He was in a fantastic mood, diving straight into the fieldwork like a madman. The folks in the fields were completely dumbfounded. They all assumed Zhou Wei couldn't help but start gossiping. Seeing this, Deshawn cautiously nudged him and asked, "Hey man, what's up with you? Did you go out stealing cows last night or something?" Steal cows? Yeah right, my dad would literally beat me to death if I did that. Then why are your eyes so bruised up? Don't tell me you really can't get over Luo Shusha? Did you cry all night? Now you're out here working yourself to the bone like you've got a death wish. What the hell are you talking about, Deshawn? What goes on inside that head of yours all day? Whatever gave you the crazy idea that I'm not over her? Hey, don't look at me. I heard Aunt Sufin and the others gossiping about it the second I got here. They said you stayed up all night because you regretted blowing up at Luo Shusha. Crying your eyes out, and now you're working like crazy. Just to vent your frustration. They're even placing bets on you, betting that you'll definitely go crawling back to Luo Shusha today to beg for forgiveness. And you actually believe their bullshit? I couldn't sleep last night because I was too damn happy. Whatever, you wouldn't get it anyway. But listen to me, there is zero chance I'm getting back with my ex. Now hurry up and get back to work. Zhou Wei's head was entirely consumed by his new spiritual domain space. He reached up and rubbed the jade pendant on his chest, noticing it felt even warmer and smoother than before. He also remembered that in his past life, right around this exact time, wild boars came down the mountain to trash the crops. He had broken his hand and bled out trying to save Chen Guangwen, and that bastard only activated the space because he got his hands on his blood. It suddenly hit Zhou Wei like a ton of bricks. It turned out Chen Guangwen really did have some insane luck on his side. In his past life, Chen Guangwen not only gained a stellar reputation, but also snagged the quota for a worker-peasant-soldier college student to return to the city. After graduation, he secured a cushy government job, and later even teamed up with Luo Shusha to steal away his entire family fortune. Thinking back on all the betrayals from his past life, Zhou Wei made a silent vow to himself. In this life, he was going to hijack every last ounce of Chen Guangwen's good luck. Meanwhile, Luo Shusha was walking down the road when she heard the villagers whispering. Zhou Wei must be regretting the breakup, crying his eyes out all night. Feeling a sudden rush of pride, Luo Shusha smugly thought to herself. He's had a crush on me since we were kids. There's no way he'd just dump me like that. She decided to parade herself right in front of Zhou Wei, making him crawl back and apologize. That way, she wouldn't have to read that humiliating apology over the village broadcast, and she could even get her things and compensation money back. Tossing her braids back, Luo Shusha strutted proudly toward Zhou Wei. Niu Deshan poked Zhou Wei in the back to warn him. Hey, old Zhou, is Luo Shusha coming over to bother you? You better stand your ground. Don't go acting all soft and pathetic. I'm heading home first. Meanwhile, Luo Shusha slowed her pace, waiting for Zhou Wei to grab her hand and beg for forgiveness. But he didn't even spare her a single glance. He just walked right past her. Behind them, Niu Deshan burst out laughing. Luo Shusha's face instantly turned green with rage, and she shrieked. What the hell are you laughing at? Are you out of your mind, Niu Deshan? Zhou Wei, you stop right there. Hearing Luo Shusha's voice only filled Zhou Wei with utter disgust. Without even looking back, he kept walking. Furious, Luo Shusha chased after him and blocked his path. Humiliated and angry, she snapped, I said, stop, Zhou Wei. I'm giving you a chance here. What is wrong with you? Don't you dare regret this. Comrade Luo, if you have something to say it right here. Luo Shusha trembled with fury, absolutely hating this cold, indifferent version of Zhou Wei. Oh, and by the way, Comrade Luo, don't forget about you and the educated youth, Chen, at noon. Make sure you both do your public self-reflection over the loudspeaker. And remember, you still owe me an apology. I'll be waiting at home, Comrade Luo. Go find your precious Chen Guangwen so you can do your little reflection together. And hurry up with that apology. Don't keep the whole village waiting. Shaking with absolute rage, Luo Shusha was just about to lash out at Niu Deshan. When she spotted Chen Guangwen walking over, she quickly wiped the ugly scowl off her face, and asked in a sickeningly sweet voice, Guangwen. What brings you here? The production captain called us to the village headquarters. I saw you head this way, so I came to get you. What were you just talking to Zhou Wei about? What did he say? Guangwen, everyone in the village saw what happened between us. You're going to take responsibility for me, right? My mom was just asking when we are getting married. Marriage is a big deal, we can't treat it like a game. This is way too fast. Then do you mean we should officially start dating first? Oh, Guangwen, I just knew you were a responsible man. Chen Guangwen looked visibly awkward, but Luo Shusha purposefully brought up her mother again, threatening to report him to the authorities for taking advantage of her. Hearing that, Chen Guangwen's face instantly grew even darker, yet he couldn't find the words to reject her. Holding onto Chen Guangwen's arm, Luo Shusha led him toward the village headquarters, scheming in her head. Zhou Wei wants to force a public self-reflection? Fine, she'll do it. She'd use this chance to cut ties with Zhou Wei for good, and eventually follow Chen Guangwen back to the city. By the time Mother Zhou got back home, the chicken stew was already simmering. The rich scent of the chicken mixed with fresh mushrooms wafted through the air, making everyone's mouths water. The kids had completely stopped fussing. They just squatted right by the kitchen door, staring at the bubbling clay pot, greedily breathing in the delicious aroma. Meanwhile, Zhou Wei hid away in his room, continuing to tinker with his new shower space. He remembered that the brigade used to have 2 big landlords, who might still have some hidden wealth somewhere. So he used his space's search function to look around. About 10 minutes later, the space actually found 2 locations. Zhou Wei's eyes lit up. He quickly memorized the locations, planning to find some time to scout them out. At the dinner table, a delicious pot of chicken stewed with mushrooms sat right in the middle. There was also braised eggplant and potato stewed with green beans. Mother Zhou served Zhou Wei a large bowl of chicken soup and said, "Xiao Wei brought this chicken home, so he gets to eat more. If any of you can bring meat back for the family in the future, you'll get a bigger share too." The second daughter-in-law, Kui Yufang, curled her lip and gave her husband, Zhou II, a kick under the table. However, Zhou Wei noticed that his mother only had half a small bowl of chicken soup, so he scooped some chicken from his bowl into hers. Saying, "Mom, you should eat more too." Mother Zhou was just about to refuse, when Zhou Wei quickly added, "Just eat it, Mom. If you don't, I'll feed it to Wang Sai. Since your son gave it to you, just eat it." Mother Zhou looked at him, her eyes instantly filling with relief and warmth. A few of the grandsons wolfed down their own food, then stared greedily at the meat in their grandma's bowl. Mother Zhou was about to share it with them when Zhou Wei cleared his throat and said, "Just finish what's in your own bowls. Staring at someone else's food is bad manners." The kids immediately behaved themselves, and Mother Zhou finally ate her food with peace of mind. Good afternoon, fellow commune members. Next, regarding the disgraceful incident that happened in our brigade yesterday. We invite Comrade Chen Guangwen and Comrade Luo Shusha to make a public self-criticism and apologize. Zhou Wei quickly finished his meal and went straight back to his room. The second daughter-in-law, Kui Yufang, couldn't help but say, "I think our brother-in-law has really moved on from Luo Shusha this time." "What do you think, Mom? Eat your food and stop talking." No one is allowed to mention her in front of Xiao Wei anymore. The past is the past. Over the loudspeaker, Chen Guangwen's self-criticism sounded fairly sincere. The brigade captain didn't give him a hard time either, just lectured him a bit and let him go back. But when it was Luo Shusha's turn, her voice suddenly dropped. She vaguely mumbled that it was just a misunderstanding, but the captain immediately cut her off. "Speak clearly. What do you mean by a misunderstanding? Was that a misunderstanding? Your self-criticism isn't deep enough." Luo Shusha stood in the broadcasting room, getting publicly scolded by the captain. And every single word was broadcasted across the entire brigade through the loudspeaker. She felt so ashamed, furious, and wronged. She wanted to ask Chen Guangwen for help, only to find that he had already left. She had no choice but to bite the bullet and continue her apology. "Also, I want to make one thing clear. I used to date Comrade Zhou Wei, but I have already returned everything he gave me. From now on, we have absolutely nothing to do with each other. Whoever we end up marrying is none of the other's business." After saying that, she turned around and stomped off in a huff. If this girl keeps acting like this, she's going to ruin herself sooner or later. As the autumn harvest approached, the captain gathered all the commune members bright and early for a mobilization meeting right at the entrance. The crops were growing much better this year. Fired up by the captain's speech, the members felt a surge of excitement. Everyone was looking forward to getting their share of grain and money once the harvest was done. After months of tightening their belts, they finally saw some hope. After the meeting ended, the captain started handing out tasks. "Those of you who are handy, stay behind and fix up the farming tools. Make sure we have plenty of sickles and hoes ready to go." Everything had to be sharpened up, and even the broken tools needed a good fixing or reweaving. Stone rollers and woven baskets were lugged out for a scrub. Gunny sacks for the grain and the wheelbarrows all had to be checked over and repaired. After leaving this crew for Zhou Yuliang to sort out, the production team leader took the rest of the folks straight to the threshing floor. Once they hit the threshing floor, everyone got right to work, clearing out the weeds and rocks. They leveled out the ground again, packed the dirt nice and tight, and got the drainage ditches all fixed up. A wooden shed for the workers to catch some shade was slowly pieced together. Meanwhile, the party secretary and the director took a team out to check exactly how ripe the crops were. They mapped out the harvesting order and cleared the dirt paths running right between the fields, just to make hauling the crops easier later on. All this prep work was going to take them about a week. Zhou Wei thought to himself, perfect. I can use this exact time to track down where that treasure is hiding. Heading home at noon, right after finishing up his lunch, while everyone else was catching some rest, Zhou Wei slipped out the door all by himself. The old landlord's ruined estate was sitting right on the west side of the village. He headed over to the west side first to scope things out. That dilapidated old courtyard was completely swamped with ghost stories. Word was that folks had actually died there back in the day during the brutal public struggle sessions and a massive fire. Because of that, hardly a living soul ever went near it. The front gate was just blocked off with some rotting old boards and logs. It looked totally desolate and rundown. Zhou Wei shoved a gap through the boards and squeezed sideways into the ruined yard. Following the guidance from his magical space, he felt his way toward the backyard. Pretty quickly, he spotted an ancient locust tree. One side of its trunk was burned to a crisp, looking like pitch-black charcoal. But the other side was somehow still lush and green. Zhou Wei stared hard at that old tree, thinking to himself, the loot has got to be buried right under here. He pulled a hoe straight out of his spatial inventory. After double-checking that no one was around, he got to work, grunting with effort as he dug heavily into the dirt. With the blazing sun high in the sky, the only sound left in that ruined yard was the heavy thud of Zhou Wei's hoe. Half an hour later, clack. His hoe finally struck a wooden board. Thrilled, he kept digging like crazy, and soon unearthed a modest-sized camphor wood trunk. The wooden chest was about 40 centimeters tall, with a padlock dangling off the outside, completely crusted over with green rust. Zhou Wei gave it a gentle tap, and the rusted lock snapped right off. He took a deep, shaky breath, and popped the lid open. The moment that chest opened, a brilliant gleam flashed out, practically blinding him. It was packed to the brim with all sorts of jade and jewelry. Bracelets, necklaces, and elegant hairpins. The colors were dazzling, and you could tell at a single glance that the quality was absolutely top-notch. Zhou Wei brushed aside the jewels on top, and underneath? It was stuffed with gleaming, little gold bars. They took up more than half the box. He guessed there had to be around 50 pounds of solid gold in there. Looking at this whole chest of treasure, Zhou Wei was so incredibly hyped that his hands literally started to shake. Terrified of being caught, he instantly stored the entire chest away into his spatial inventory. Then, he quickly filled the hole back in and covered it all up with dead leaves, trying his best to make it look completely untouched. Only then did he start sneaking back out the exact same way he came. Terrified of being caught, he instantly stored the entire chest away into his spatial inventory. Then, he quickly filled the hole back in and covered it all up with dead leaves, trying his best to make it look completely untouched. Only then did he start sneaking back out the exact same way he came. But on second thought, Zhou Wei realized, with the sun beating down this fiercely, there's no way a ghost would dare to come out. Driven by pure curiosity, he stealthily crept over anyway, wanting to see exactly who that dark shadow really was. Zhou Wei stopped dead behind a small clump of bushes, and watched the figure pacing back and forth right by the courtyard gate. Then, the figure slipped inside through the gap in the wooden boards. When the person's side profile finally came into view, Zhou Wei recognized him in an instant. It was none other than Chen Guangwen. Zhou Wei's mind was racing with questions. What on earth was Chen Guangwen doing here? Could he have discovered the secret of this place too? His heart skipped a beat. If Chen Guangwen was here for the treasure, there could only be one explanation. But then Zhou Wei thought about it. If Chen Guangwen was truly reborn, it would be the perfect chance for revenge. Either way, the opportunity to deal with him was right in front of him. So, after watching Chen Guangwen slip into the courtyard, Zhou Wei turned and left. On his way, he spotted some kids climbing a tree to steal bird eggs. He pulled out a few fruit candies and called out, "Hey, if you want some candy, get over here." Hearing there was candy, the kids immediately swarmed over. Zhou Wei held out the candy and gave them a task. Go find the captain. Tell him a wild boar came down the mountain and went into the ruined courtyard. But do not tell him I told you. The kids patted their chests in promise. They split the candy and took off running. Zhou Wei had barely gotten home when the captain came rushing over with a group of strong men. He even called for Zhou Yuliang, shouting that they needed to catch a wild boar. When Zhou Yuliang heard this, he immediately worried the boar would destroy their crops. He slapped his thigh and instantly yelled for his 3 sons to grab their weapons. The large group marched fiercely, carrying hoes and machetes, heading straight for the west side of the village. A bunch of nosy little kids trailed closely behind them to watch the show. Find its location first, don't just rush in blind. Are you sure this is the spot? Yeah, this is the exact place. Inside the ruined courtyard, the men gripped their weapons tightly, searching everywhere for the wild boar. The captain lowered his voice and warned them, locate it first, don't just blindly attack. Old Joe, why would a wild boar come to a place like this? Probably just wandered in by mistake. Better we caught it early. Otherwise we can forget about having a good harvest next year. Zhou Wei had done all this not just to catch Chen Guangwen in the act, but also to remind the village to be on guard against wild boars. Suddenly, a sharp voice rang out. Chen, what the hell are you doing here? Everyone froze. They turned toward the voice. Niu Deshan looked over at Zhou Wei and said, "It is Chen Guangwen. He is right here, let's go check it out." Zhou Wei was more than happy to watch the drama unfold. The captain stared suspiciously at Chen Guangwen. The guy was poking around the dirt with a stick. "What is going on?" the captain demanded. "Did you come here to hunt the wild boar too?" This used to be the old landlord's courtyard. Why is a city youth like you digging around? Trying to keep a hidden stash for yourself? Of course not. I'm just an outsider. How would I know if there is anything valuable here? If there is nothing valuable, why are you out here digging in the dirt on such a scorching hot day? The crowd was getting eager, itching to dig up the spot and see for themselves. The captain wanted to know the truth too, so he ordered the men to start digging. The men made quick work of it, completely tearing up the spot where Chen Guangwen had been digging. But in the end, they found absolutely nothing. Zhou Wei stood quietly in the crowd, watching Chen Guangwen's reaction. Chen Guangwen stared at the empty holes, his brows furrowed tightly. The captain pressed him further. "There is nothing here, so what exactly were you digging for?" He then brought up the matter of the old landlord's youngest son, making it clear that if he didn't explain himself, then we have no choice but to report you to the Revolutionary Committee. "Captain, I swear I wasn't trying to dig anything up. If I get reported to the Revolutionary Committee, I'm dead meat." The crowd also felt that things were getting weirder and weirder. Nobody could figure out what on earth he was after, sneaking into this ruined yard in the dead of summer to dig up dirt. Could he be an enemy spy? Someone else chimed in, "Yeah, the youngest son of the guy who used to own this yard was an enemy spy." Could there be some hidden intelligence here? The crowd suddenly remembered the past, and the way they looked at Chen Guangwen instantly filled with suspicion. "I'm not a spy. I'm an educated youth from the city. You can't just pin a crime on me like that." "Then tell us, what the hell are you doing here?" I had a dream this afternoon. I dreamed there was a treasure hidden here. I just lost my mind for a second and wanted to see if there was actually anything valuable. But I swear I'm not a spy. Zhou Wei watched his expression closely, and felt like he wasn't lying. Zhou Wei pondered in his heart. If Chen Guangwen really came here because of a dream, it means he hasn't been reborn yet. But right after I used my spatial dimension to find the treasure, Chen Guangwen dreamed about this place the very next second. This guy's luck really is something else. Dreamed about a treasure? Who would believe that load of crap? Captain, just send him to the Revolutionary Committee for interrogation. If he really is a spy, we're all doomed. As soon as he said this, the surrounding crowd nodded in agreement one after another. Well, that's a first. Luo Shusha actually came over to swallow her pride and apologize to you. He felt that seeing the arrogant Luo Shusha back down was quite an eye-opener. But Zhou Wei didn't say a single word. He just kept rushing home. Zhou Wei's mind was completely occupied with calculating last night's haul. He completely tuned out Niu Deshan's rambling. Niu Deshan looked up, and seeing that he had already walked far ahead, quickly chased after him, shouting, "Why are you walking so fast? Hey, wait up for me. Don't tell me you were so moved by Luo Shusha that you're crying? Whatever you do, don't fall for her trick. She isn't really sorry, she's just scared." Zhou Wei's ears were itching from all the nagging. "I get it, Auntie Niu. Luo Shusha is bad news." "Who are you calling Auntie Niu?" Meanwhile, Grandpa Zhou Yuliang had just gotten home. Zhou Hongyan brought him a cup of tea, and after waiting for him to finish drinking, she asked, "Dad, did Luo Jiong and Zhou Dahe really come to our house to steal chickens last night?" As soon as she said this, everyone in the room turned to look. "Those punks are cruising for a bruising," the oldest brother said, still a bit spooked. "We can't sleep so soundly at night from now on." Zhou Yulang's face looked grim. He said in a deep voice, "They were scared out of their wits and confessed everything. They really did come to steal our chickens last night." The second brother clenched his fists, ready to storm out. The oldest brother quickly held him back. Suppressing his rage, the second brother asked, "How is the captain going to punish them?" "That's enough, give it a rest." Grandpa snapped. "They're being punished with no slacking off during the autumn harvest. They have to do the most exhausting work, and after the harvest, they're on manure duty. 0 work points for them. This matter ends here. Don't go causing trouble for me. Elsewhere, Zhou Wei couldn't wait to enter his spatial dimension. 6 perfectly preserved boxes sat neatly in a row. He opened them up, one by one. Inside were actually 2 boxes of gold bars, and a box of silver coins. There were also ancient books, scrolls, antique ceramics, and jewelry. Zhou Wei was absolutely dumbfounded. Luo Shusha paced outside the educated youth compound for a moment before finally stepping inside. What's Luo Shusha doing here? Chen isn't even around anymore. Looking for the other guys, I bet. What else would she be doing? Luo Shusha found the compound leader, Li Zhongnong, and immediately demanded the contact info for Chen Guangwen's parents in Beijing. Li Zhongnong didn't want anything more to do with Chen Guangwen, but he just couldn't handle her endless nagging. He had no choice but to rummage through Chen Guangwen's bunk. Once Luo Shusha got the address, and saw government housing compound written on it, she finally felt relieved. The moment she stepped out, she ran into Qin Dongsho, who immediately started mocking her. Chen is gone. Which guy here have you set your sights on now? Are you out here looking for men too, Qin? You knew damn well that Chen wasn't some enemy spy. Why didn't you stand up for him back then? I used to look down on you. I don't need your respect. And who says I wasn't going to help Guangwen? You're just sticking your nose where it doesn't belong. Mind your own business. Your whole family is a bunch of nosy busybodies. Luo Shusha headed home, looking at the Chen family's address. Hope was reignited in her heart. She remembered that Chen Guangwen had told her to find his family. She fantasized about living in the city compound and getting state rations. Right after lunch, she took time off to send a telegram from town. Luo Shusha returned home in a great mood, only to hear Luo Jiong screaming from his room. Wang Shaolian was putting medicine on his wounds, while Luo Jiong cried out in terror. Last night at the Zhou house, I saw this terrifying thing in a blood-red wedding dress. It was like a zombie. The mother and son were totally spooked. Suddenly, a creak came from outside the door. Luo Jiong jumped up in sheer panic. Mom, is it back? It dares to show up in broad daylight? Is it really that powerful? Luo Shusha pushed the door open, only to find the mother and son huddled in the corner of the bed like scared little quails. She asked, Mom, what are you guys doing? Hearing her voice, the two finally let out a sigh of relief. Furious, Wang Shaolian smacked her. Why aren't you out working? What are you doing back here? Your brother is so hurt he can't even work. With him hurt like this, if you don't go to work, our family is going to starve. Are we just supposed to starve? Your brother can't work, so if you don't go, we'll have absolutely nothing to eat. Luo Shusha cried out in pain, explaining that she had something important to take care of. But Wang Shaolian only cared about the money and goods they lost to Zhou Wei. If you hadn't messed things up with Zhou Wei, would we have had to pay him back all that stuff? I told you, I am not marrying that dirt-poor peasant Zhou Wei. What's so great about him anyway? Who else out there is better than Zhou Wei right now? Who says nobody else wants me? I took time off today specifically to contact Guangwen's family. The Chens live in a huge government housing compound in the city. Are you telling the truth? If they're really that powerful, then why was he sent down to work in the countryside? That's because his family has strong revolutionary ideals. Wang Shaolian was still a bit skeptical. Then we'll just wait. We'll give it a few days and see if he can get out. She was already scheming in her head. If her daughter really married a city official, the bride price would double, and her son's job prospects would finally be secured. Out in the fields, Niu Deshan finished up his work and quietly snuck over to find Zhou Wei. The two exchanged a look and slipped out of the cornfield. The squad leader was already used to it. As long as they didn't hold up the work, he'd just turn a blind eye. Kui Yufang's back was aching from working in the sweet potato patch. When she stood up, she saw Zhou Wei and Niu Deshan leaving. An idea flashed in her eyes, and she hurried off to find Zhou Wen. She urged him to follow Zhou Wei up the mountain to hunt, saying they could get half the share if they tagged along. The mountain is dangerous. I don't want to get gored to death by a wild boar. It's better to share it with us than with Niu Deshan. You're his second brother, after all. Let's just talk it over. The two went up the mountain. Since the wild boars had been coming down and causing a ruckus in the area, Niu Deshan suggested not going too deep. Zhou Wei, however, used his spatial awareness for precise tracking. Using a net bag and a bamboo spear, he caught 8 chickens and 12 rabbits. Niu Deshan couldn't believe his eyes. Wow, old Zhou, you're amazing. Using your ears to listen. And your eyes to observe. Old Joe, you're the man. I totally respect you. Can you take these to the black market and sell them yourself? I don't doubt the people I work with. I trust you. Joe Wei first went to the salvage station to dig for old books, then hopped around bookstores to grab all the math, physics, chemistry, history, and geography textbooks. While waiting for Niu Deshan, he spotted Qin Dongsho walking out of the commune. He felt suspicious. The team captain didn't usually approve time off that easily. The autumn harvest officially kicked off, with everyone dividing up the work. Joe Wei and Niu Deshan were put in charge of hauling the grain, while second brother Joe finally became a squad leader. The team captain even purposely assigned Luo Jiyoung and Zhou Dahei to his squad. You two head over to that patch. I want all the corn in that field harvested by today. Luo Jiyoung and Zhou Dahei almost passed out. Luo Jiyoung even argued. You're just abusing your power for personal revenge. You two are bad elements who desperately need reforming. The captain specifically told me to keep a close eye on your work. Zhou Dahei quickly grabbed hold of Luo Jiyoung. Afraid of getting slammed with extra work, the two had no choice but to head down to the field, cursing under their breath. The sun was blazing high overhead, making the cornfield suffocatingly hot. Luo Jiyoung got scratched up by the corn leaves, leaving him itchy and sore. Finally, he collapsed on the ground, crying out, "Screw this. I can't do it anymore. This isn't work meant for human beings." Zhou Dahei, let's go. We're finding the captain to switch jobs. We're splitting this field 50-50. Are you deaf? I said I'm switching jobs. Just then, Zhou Wei came pulling up a cart to haul the corn. Luo Jiyoung looked at him like he was a savior. With red eyes, he cried out. Brother Jia. Don't go calling me that and ruining my reputation. You'll have to pay up for that. Luo Jiyoung wanted to trade jobs with Zhou Wei, thinking pulling a cart was way easier than picking corn. Zhou Wei flat out refused. Not a chance. Just hurry up and help me load the cart. Luo Jiyoung then promised to put in a good word for him with his sister, but Zhou Wei stayed cold. I don't need it. If you've got a problem, tell it to me. You're abusing your power. Luo Jiyoung cursed at him, you're just abusing your power for revenge. Zhou Wen intentionally emphasized his words. Oh, I promise I'll help him get properly reformed. Now that the guy is in my hands, I'm definitely going to teach him a good lesson. Zhou Wei simply gave a soft grunt. Without even looking up, he kept right on working away at the task in his hands. Hey old Joe, look over there. Zhou Wei looked in that direction, only to see Luo Shusha. She was acting all fragile and weak while talking to a young guy. The guy was smiling from ear to ear as he took over her work. Luo Shusha pretended to decline a couple of times, but ended up just resting under the shade of a tree. She kept smiling at the young guy every now and then. Niu Deshan couldn't help but mutter. Is she a fox spirit reincarnated or what? Zhou Wei's face darkened as he loaded up the corn and pulled his cart away. Niu Deshan turned and slipped into the cornfield. Soon after, sharp curses rang out. An auntie charged out wielding a big wooden stick, beating her son while cursing, "You damn kid. Did a donkey kick you in the head, or did that fox spirit eat your brain? Is that Luo woman missing her hands or did she break her legs? Does she really need you to do her work for her?" The young guy screamed from the beating, only able to dodge and beg for mercy. The commotion drew the people nearby. Luo Shusha is not the kind of woman who settles down to live a decent life. Don't you dare get involved with her. Smack, smack, she hit him with the stick 2 more times. Luo Shusha, being stared at by the crowd, felt her face turn red, then pale. Auntie, if you have something to say it nicely. Why are you cursing at people for no reason? She explained that she didn't ask for his help. Instead, she said she was about to get heat stroke, and he kindly came over to help. The auntie marched aggressively toward Luo Shusha, pointing right at her nose and cursing. Heat stroke? Then how come I don't see you passed out on the ground? With so many people here, how come you're the only one getting heat stroke? I think you're just faking it. I bet you just can't survive a single day without a man, huh? If you dare trick my son into doing your work again, see if I don't tear you to pieces. You're taking this way too far. Hold it right there. What kind of way is that to speak? You couldn't even control your own son. So why are you cursing at our Shusha? The ridges of the fields were full of people watching the drama unfold. Did you do this? No way. The auntie is a good person, I just gave her a little heads up. Anyone could hear the sheer guilt in those words. What, you wanna fight? If the gossip sounds ugly, then don't do those ugly things. After saying that, she dragged her son away. Luo Shusha felt her face burning up under everyone's stares. She was just about to run away, but then she saw Zhou Wei standing on the field ridge, watching coldly with his arms crossed. Her expression instantly darkened. Without even waiting for Wang Shaolian to finish speaking, she covered her face and ran away crying. She was furious at Zhou Wei for being so cold and heartless. And she hoped even more desperately that Chen Guangwen would hurry back. Right now, her situation was just too awful. She could only pin all her hopes on Chen Guangwen. In my previous life, around this time, wild boars came down the mountain and attacked people. I even got severely injured trying to save Chen Guangwen. After that, the autumn harvest was hit by heavy rain, and all the crops were flooded. In this life, with no wild boars causing havoc, the losses should be a lot less. Early the next morning, before the roosters even crowed, Mother Zhou and her 2 daughters-in-law were already up, killing chickens and cooking breakfast. Father Zhou knocked on every door, rushing them. Get up, time to get to work. The 3 sons of the Zhou family soon stepped out into the moonlight. You 2 are continuing on the same plot today. You better work hard. He also added, if you don't finish, your workload doubles tomorrow. You're really treating the 2 of us like the enemy, aren't you? Just keep your head down. Who knew these 2 fools were so bad at taking a joke? I actually thought my arrangement made perfect sense. Zhou Wen looked over at Zhou Wei for backup. Zhou Wei said flatly, re-education needs to be profound. It has to touch the very depths of your soul. When the brigade captain arrived, he actually praised Zhou Wen for his strong ideological awareness. He even added that re-education must be thorough. Meanwhile, Chen Guangwen was finally released. But he looked so haggard, he was like a completely different person, with heavy dark circles under his eyes. He had lost so much weight, the kids walking by even started yelling that a monster had sneaked into the village. He went back to the youth settlement. When the other guys got off work and came back, they walked through the door and saw a dark lump on the bed. Someone screamed. Could that be a wild boar? The wild boars had been coming down the mountain and causing a lot of chaos lately. A few of them immediately grabbed their tools, hoping to catch the boar for a good meat dinner. Someone shouted the order, get it. In the total chaos, a machete nearly chopped right into Chen Guangwen's neck. He woke up completely terrified, and screamed, what the hell are you guys doing? It was only then that everyone realized the thing on the bed wasn't a wild boar at all. It was Chen Guangwen. The girls heard the commotion and came running over too. They all suspected he had broken out. Someone asked him, did you really break out? What are you doing back here? Just then, the captain rushed in with a group holding farming tools. Chen Guangwen was so scared he kept shrinking back into the corner of the bed. Once the kerosene lamp was lit, the captain finally saw that it wasn't a wild boar. Chen Guangwen hurriedly explained, I was let go. I didn't escape. The captain sent someone to go verify his story. Once they confirmed that Chen Guangwen had actually been released, the captain apologized on behalf of the group. He even gave Chen Guangwen a day off to rest. Totally exhausted in body and mind, Chen Guangwen lay back down. But as he lay in the dark, his expression turned cold and gloomy. The very next day, the news of his return spread through the entire brigade. When Zhou Wei heard about it, he stopped his wooden cart and glanced back in the direction of the youth settlement. But he quickly let it go. As long as he stuck to the plan, he and his family would absolutely be just fine. Meanwhile, Chen Guangwen slept until the sun was high in the sky. He woke up starving and went to the kitchen to steam some sweet potatoes. Suddenly, Luo Shusha ran over in a rush, calling out, Wen, you're back. Don't put on an act for me. You honestly make me sick. Guangwen, you're misunderstanding me. I wasn't trying to cut ties with you back then. I was just putting on a show to fool them. She claimed she did it to avoid drawing attention, so she could secretly get a message out to your family. During those days you were locked up. Do you know how worried I was? She swore she had been praying for his return every single day. Chen Guangwen had been filled with pure rage, but hearing this, his heart instantly melted. You were the one who contacted my family? You were the one who got me out? Who else but me? Who else would dare risk everything to save you at a time like this? Chen Guangwen's heart completely melted. He pulled Luo Shusha into a tight hug and just kept apologizing. I'm so sorry, Shusha. I completely misunderstood you. Luo Shusha immediately covered his mouth, murmuring softly, Stop talking nonsense. Don't say such unlucky things. You're so amazing, Shusha. We really are meant for each other. You're everything to me. After going through all of this, Chen Guangwen completely stopped resisting their relationship. You're out safe and sound now. Shouldn't you let your folks back home know you're safe? They haven't heard a thing. How about sending a telegram? Yeah, you're right. A telegram is way faster. Chen Guangwen headed into town and sent one off. The message just said he was safe, and introduced his new girl, Luo Shusha. Meanwhile, Wang Xiaolian had been showing off all over the village. She even bragged to Big Mouth Wu. It was Chen Guangwen who chased after my Shusha, you know. Who cares what you think? You think everyone sells their daughters for cash just like you do? But she couldn't figure out how Chen Guangwen got released so quickly. Out in the fields, Zhou Wei was pulling his cart, when he suddenly recalled the details of the arrest. Then, he remembered Qin Dongsho coming back from the commune that day. It slowly dawned on him. The only reason Chen Guangwen got out had to be because of Qin Dongsho. Things were starting to get really interesting. In this lifetime, Chen's parents first received a telegram from Luo Shusha, telling them their son had been arrested. And when a distant relative asked for $2,000 to help, they just decided to give up on him. But soon after, they got another telegram from Chen Guangwen saying he was safe. They realized his new girl was the exact same woman who sent the first message. Luo Shusha tugged playfully at Chen Guangwen's hand, sweet-talking him into coming over for dinner. You're my man now, she cooed, and you don't have any family around here. So it's completely normal for you to eat at my place. Chen Guangwen tried to politely decline. On his way to the Luo house, the aunties coming off their shifts started teasing him. Ooh, look at the city boy heading to his future mother-in-law's for dinner. He smiled, but deep down, he was sick of these people. They had absolutely zero boundaries. Chen Guangwen showed up at the Luo house completely empty-handed. Wang Xiaolian acted all warm and fuzzy, but secretly, she scoffed at his total lack of manners. The food on the table was pathetic, yet she just kept interrogating him. Since your parents are big bosses in the city, how much bride price can they pay for the wedding? Was my mom asking too many questions? Yeah, she really was. She has zero sense of boundaries. Did I come here for dinner? Or a damn interrogation? Chen Guangwen took a breath and softened his tone. But he made his point crystal clear. I'm not Zhou Wei, you know. My folks are hardworking city people. He gave Luo Shusha a firm warning. If her mother demanded a huge payout, things were going to get really difficult for them. Because the Chen family values character in a daughter-in-law, they don't buy women like livestock. Oh, come on, don't be mad at me. I bet you're still hungry after that dinner, huh? I was a little harsh back there. Man, this girl really knows how to play people. Just one egg, and all my anger is completely gone. Back at the girls' dorm in the youth camp, the city girls were gossiping about Chen Guangwen and Luo Shusha. They all felt terrible for Qin Dongsho, saying he wasn't worth it. Oh Ruiying quickly hushed everyone. As the night grew incredibly dark, the exhausted villagers were all fast asleep. In the dead of night, Zhou Dahe got up to use the outhouse. Still half asleep, he suddenly spotted 3 massive wild boars. He jolted wide awake and screamed his lungs out. Help, wild boars, the boars are coming down from the mountain. The boars chased him, snapping at his heels as he ran frantically all over the village. The noise woke up the entire production brigade. Zhou Wei shot out of bed. He knew instantly, the boars were really here. The village chief's voice blasted over the loudspeakers. Attention, all villagers. Wild boars have come down from the mountain. This is an absolute emergency. Panic swept through the village. Every able-bodied man grabbed a weapon and rushed outside. Zhou Wei gripped his heavy machete, following his second brother on patrol. Up ahead, Zhou Wen dragged a terrified Zhou Dahe along to lead the way. But they quickly noticed Luo Jiyong was missing. Someone spat in disgust, what a fucking coward. Just then, terrifying screams rang out from the youth camp. The camp's mud wall had been knocked down by wild boars. Zhou Wei used his spatial sense to check, and found 2 boars in the village, with another 3 out in the fields. He told Zhou Wen to go call for backup, while he led a group sneaking toward the camp. They lit some firewood and climbed up a tree to attract the boars. The girls had just barely escaped danger, and were terrified as they watched the crazed boars outside. But right at that moment, the back window was violently smashed open by another boar. It used the clutter by the wall to leap right in. The dorm instantly erupted into total chaos. The girls' screams echoed one after another. The boar got in. Climb up, hurry up. Help me. Up in the tree, Zhou Wei snapped his head up and saw the absolute mess over there. Oh, crap, he thought to himself. Down below, another boar was violently ramming into their tree. But backup was nowhere to be seen. Zhou Wen yelled out in absolute despair. It's over, Xiao Wei. Looks like we're gonna die here tonight. Zhou Wei hugged the tree trunk tightly, his eyes darting frantically back and forth. Second bro, hold on tight. what are you doing? If we don't kill it, we're both dead meat. Inside the girls' dorm, the wild boar had already completely trashed the place. One of the girls had a chunk of flesh violently ripped right out of her thigh. Bright red blood soaked through her pants, and her face went completely pale. Her friends finally managed to drag her out through the window. If something happens to you, how am I supposed to face mom and dad? If anyone's jumping down there, it's me. Aim right for the main artery in the neck and hack as hard as you can. Zhou Wen gripped the machete, his hands shaking violently. He finally gritted his teeth. Okay, I'll do it. But just as he was about to jump, Zhou Wei grabbed him and snatched the blade right back. He took the leap himself. Zhou Wen screamed, Xiao Wei. Zhou Wei dropped down on the boar's blind side, barely steadying himself as his feet hit the dirt. He instantly channeled all his strength and slashed the blade right into the beast's neck. The boar let out a deafening squeal, but its thick hide absorbed most of the blow, and it immediately spun around, charging wildly at Zhou Wei. Xiao Wei. Zhou Wen shrieked in horror, plunging down from the tree to help. He wanted to help pin the beast down, but the boar had its bloodshot eyes locked entirely on Zhou Wei. Right at the breaking point, one of the girls grabbed a flaming piece of firewood and violently smashed it against the boar. The beast squealed in absolute agony. Seeing his perfect opening, Zhou Wei swung his blade up high and delivered a brutal, finishing strike directly to its main artery. The second it ruptured, hot blood sprayed violently into the air. The massive beast swayed on its feet and finally crashed lifelessly to the ground. Everyone stood there, chests heaving heavily, as they finally let out a long, shaky breath of relief. Zhou Wen desperately rushed over. He frantically asked, Xiao Wei, are you okay? Did you get hurt? I'm fine. Zhou Wei turned around to look at the girl who had just saved him. He gave her a deeply grateful nod, only then realizing that it was actually Xu Rong. Xu Rong offered a polite little smile, but her pale, delicate hands were trembling slightly from the severe burns of the hot coals. Just then, the other rescue squads finally rushed onto the scene. The crowd stared in absolute shock at the massive dead boar on the ground, and then at a blood-drenched Zhou Wei. Gasps echoed through the crowd. Did Zhou Wei really kill this monster? Oh my god, that was incredible. Our boy, Xiao Wei, took it down all by himself. Amazing, right? While everyone was still cheering, another wild boar suddenly smashed through the wooden door of the dorm. It charged right out, seeing its companion lying there in a pool of blood. A flash of shock and sheer rage seemed to cross its eyes. The crowd screamed, there's another boar, catch it, surround it. While everyone was still cheering, another wild boar suddenly smashed through the wooden door of the dorm. It charged right out, seeing its companion lying there in a pool of blood. A flash of shock and sheer rage seemed to cross its eyes. The crowd screamed, there's another boar, catch it, surround it. When Zhou Wei turned around, he saw Xu Rong still standing frozen in place. He walked up and asked, is your hand okay? Xu Rong flinched and pulled his hand back. I'm fine, he whispered. But Zhou Wei just grabbed his hand directly to check it out. Xu Rong's hand was already covered in blisters. Zhou Wei frowned. You call this fine? It's all blistered. If we don't treat this right away, your hand is going to be ruined. Are you trying to slack off for the autumn harvest? Xu Rong quickly snatched his hand back, stammering, and No, I'm really okay. I can still work during the harvest. Thank you for earlier, by the way. If you hadn't stepped in to help, I probably would have died. So, to thank you, I'm taking you to the clinic to get that wrapped up, Zhou Wei interrupted, then turned and started walking away. He looked back and urged, are you coming or not? Or do you want to go one-on-one with that boar? The two of them walked single file down the dirt road. The walk was completely silent. A few minutes later, they arrived at the village clinic. Zhou boy, were you hurt by that wild boar? Hurry up, get on the bed and lie down. No, Uncle Zhou, this is all just boar's blood. It's not mine. Take a look at young Xu here first. His hand got badly burned. Uncle Zhou took a careful look, and after confirming that Zhou Wei was indeed unhurt, he said, you go outside and wash up first. I'll take a look at young Xu. Zhou Wei nodded. He turned and walked out of the clinic. Over at the well by the brigade headquarters, Zhou Wei drew some water to wash his face. The cool well water washed away the heat and exhaustion. Just then, the team captain came back, leading a group hauling the dead boar. He excitedly clapped Zhou Wei on the shoulder and asked, I heard you took down a wild boar all by yourself. You're not hurt, are you? Yeah, over by the youth center. The others went after the second one. Back in the clinic, Xu Rong's hand was fully bandaged. The doctor warned him not to get it wet for a few days. Zhou Wei walked him back to the youth center. Seeing the worried look on his face, Zhou Wei asked, are you stressing that your hand's gonna mess up your autumn harvest work? I was just joking earlier. You got this injury because of me. I'll cover your harvest shifts for the next few days. And no, you don't have to. I can't let you do that. I have my own assigned tasks. I just need a few days of rest, I'll be fine. Zhou Wei completely ignored Xu Rong's refusal. It's settled then, he said bluntly. Go back inside and get some rest. The boars won't be coming back. With that, he turned and headed toward the brigade headquarters. But suddenly, a massive commotion broke out on the east side of the village. Zhou Wei rushed over to check it out. He saw the crowd surrounding the wild boar that had escaped from the youth camp. In the chaos, he caught a glimpse of Chen Guangwen sneaking out of the old landlord's ruined courtyard. He slipped back into the crowd. Li Zhongyong asked curiously, Guangwen, where were you just now? I thought something happened to you. Chen Guangwen quickly covered it up, I'm fine. I went with the others to chase the boar on the other side. Meanwhile, the boar was completely cornered by the crowd. Suddenly, it spun around and charged straight at a distracted Chen Guangwen. With a blood-curdling scream, Chen Guangwen was sent flying. He smashed into a wall and was knocked out cold. Seizing the moment, Zhou Wei leapt into the air. His machete came down hard on the boar's neck. The very next second, another huge beast crashed to the ground. When Niu Deshan and the captain arrived, they looked at the blood-soaked ground and then at Zhou Wei. They gasped, damn, old Zhou. You're a beast. We only managed to bag one. And you took down two all by yourself. Zhou Fu also came running over in a panic. He frantically asked his son if he was hurt. Nearby, Li Zhongyong was yelling, hurry. Get him to the clinic. By the next day, the news had spread like wildfire. Chen Guangwen was mauled by the boar. He took a massive hit down there and had to be rushed to the commune hospital overnight. Luo Shusha ran over first thing in the morning to ask for time off. The captain refused at first, but she cried and threw such a fit that he finally gave in. Is that Chen guy crippled for life or what? Meanwhile, at the commune hospital, Chen Guangwen lay in his hospital bed, staring blankly at the ceiling like a ghost. The doctor had just told him, his manhood was completely destroyed. The chances of him ever having kids were close to zero. When Luo Shusha rushed into the room, he was silently weeping. Heartbroken, she asked, Guangwen, does it hurt a lot? Chen Guangwen stayed dead silent for a long time before muttering, what? What did the doctor say? Luo Shusha couldn't bring herself to tell the truth. The doctor said, you just broke some ribs. After Chen Guangwen recovered and returned to the village, he still couldn't let go of his obsession with the hidden treasure. Late one night, 2 weeks later, he sneaked back into the old landlord's ruined courtyard. But Zhou Wei had been watching him like a hawk. Seeing him acting so shady, he rounded up Niu Deshan and the others. They caught Chen Guangwen red-handed, digging up the dirt. What the hell are you doing? I had a dream there was treasure here. I just wanted to dig and see. Bullshit, you're destroying revolutionary property. There's more to this. I bet Chen Guangwen is an enemy spy. We have to report this to the Revolutionary Committee. If that's the case, then report it. We can't handle something this serious. We definitely can't take the blame for it, Captain. The Revolutionary Committee guards arrived shortly after and dragged Chen Guangwen away. When Luo Shusha rushed to the scene, Chen Guangwen looked at her like a drowning man finding a lifeline. He screamed, Shusha, save me. I swear I'm not a spy. Luo Shusha's face turned deathly pale. She instinctively backed away, and then bolted, not even looking back once. Zhou Wei watched the whole pathetic scene unfold and let out a cold laugh. Once Chen Guangwen was taken away, peace finally returned to the village. Zhou Wei decided it was time to speed up his own treasure hunt. So, late one night, he masked his face and slipped into the old landlord's courtyard out west. He found the kitchen cellar, climbed down, and took a look, only to find a few busted jars inside. Just then, Zhou Wei stepped on a hollow patch of ground. He cleared away the debris and discovered there was actually a hidden cellar beneath the cellar. Zhou Wei pried open the cover with a tool and shined his flashlight straight down. Down in the pitch-black cellar, 5 or 6 large chests were neatly lined up. His heart skipped a beat. Got it. Zhou Wei flipped and leapt, jumping right down. In that underground space, 6 chests were neatly stacked, piled up in pairs. Every single one was locked fast. But the space was just too cramped. He couldn't open them to look closely, so with a wave of his hand, he stored all 6 chests straight into his pocket dimension. The moment the chests entered his space, a wave of relief washed over Zhou Wei. It was a rare moment of peace since his rebirth. After getting back above ground, he flashed into his storage space, pried open the locks on the 6 chests, and did a quick check. Confirming that they were absolutely packed with treasures, Zhou Wei used the cover of night, dodged the old uncle keeping watch in the fields, and hurried home along the small dirt path. Passing by a window, he faintly heard sounds from inside, like, push harder, and other noises of that sort. He just pretended he didn't hear a thing. and quickened his pace. The moment Zhou Wei arrived at his door, he heard some rustling near the front wall. He looked up, and saw it was Luo Jiang and Zhou Dahei scaling the wall. Luo Jiang was boosting Zhou Dahei up by the ass, panting heavily as he grunted, "Come on, just lift your leg and climb over." Zhou Wei instantly recognized these two no-good scoundrels, and he knew right away, they were after the chickens he had taken back from the Luo family the other day. Looking at Zhou Dahei, memories from his past life flooded back, how this bastard had intentionally harassed his little sister, forcing her to marry him, and ultimately beat her to death, causing her to miscarry. A fiery rage instantly erupted in his chest. Consumed by fury, Zhou Wei flashed back into his storage space. He changed into a blood-red bridal gown, and threw on a red bridal veil. When he reappeared in the moonlight, that all-red outfit looked incredibly eerie in the dead of night. He decided to use this exact look to teach these two a harsh lesson. If you want to eat chicken, push harder. Go over there and grab a rock. Man, getting this chicken is so damn hard. This wall isn't even that high and you still can't get over. Let's switch, you boost me up. Well then get up there. Why aren't you climbing? Suddenly, an ethereal, spine-chilling voice echoed right behind them. Young master, oh, young master. Zhou Dahei turned his head to look, and saw a female ghost dressed all in red. His teeth started chattering in pure terror. G ghost, AF female ghost. Luo Jiang was just about to complain, but he turned around, saw the horrifying sight, and passed out cold before he could even finish his sentence. Young master, do you want a bride? How about, I marry you? Oh my, I've got my eye on you, come with me. Zhou Dahei clung to the wall, his legs turning into absolute jelly. He screamed in sheer panic, "Ah, G go away, D don't come near me." He thought the female ghost was trying to drag him to the underworld for a ghost marriage. His soul practically leapt out of his body. With a loud thud, he collapsed completely stiff, falling right on top of Luo Jiang. Zhou Wei lifted the red bridal veil. Cowards, he sneered. After Zhou Wei made sure the two had passed out cold, he fought back his disgust and stripped them naked. Then, he tied the two bare bodies together with a hemp rope, and dragged them under the big tree right at the entrance of the village headquarters. But before leaving, he still felt pissed off, so he turned around and beat the crap out of them one more time. With all that done, Zhou Wei finally headed home to sleep, feeling completely refreshed. Bright and early the next morning, a huge crowd gathered at the village headquarters. Everyone stared at the two guys tied up together, gossiping and pointing. Which cruel bastard would do something like this? Who beat my poor boy like this? Wu Dezui rushed over, and seeing her son, Zhou Dahei, tied up with Luo Jiang, she instantly started screaming at Wang Xiaolian. Wang Xiaolian and Wu Dezui got into a vicious screaming match. Even Luo Shusha, who was standing nearby, got dragged into it, and she turned and ran off in tears. Not long after, Zhou Dahei and Luo Jiang woke up, only to find themselves stripped bare and tied up. They were so terrified they started babbling nonsense. Zhou Dahei sobbed to his mother, "Mom, save me, there's a ghost, a real ghost." She was wearing a blood-red wedding dress, and she said she was gonna take me away and marry me. The village captain rushed over, barking furiously, "What kind of nonsense is this? Stop spreading this superstitious garbage." The crowd finally quieted down, but seeing how scared out of their wits the two boys were, they couldn't hold back their laughter. Wang Xiaolian wasn't going to let this go. She demanded the captain step up and get justice. "My boy couldn't have beaten himself up. You need to drag out whoever did this and punish them." The captain shot back, asking what exactly the two of them were doing last night. Zhou Dahei finally broke down, crying as he confessed, "It was him. Luo Jiang told me to go steal chickens from Zhou Wei's place with him. And right at Zhou's door, we ran into that terrifying female ghost." The crowd instantly realized the two had been up to no good, and their pity quickly turned into disgust. Everyone muttered that they got exactly what they deserved. Wang Xiaolian tried to sneak away, but Niu Deshan stuck his leg out and tripped her flat on her face. The captain, seeing right through their lies, hauled the two of them straight into his office to deal with the mess. "That female ghost who beat the crap out of them last night, that wasn't you, was it? Take a wild guess." Niu Deshan instantly caught on. He realized that ever since his buddy stopped thinking with his heart, his brain was working so much better. That move was seriously so satisfying. Later that afternoon, after finishing work, Zhou Wei and Niu Deshan were heading home, joking and laughing together. Suddenly, Luo Shusha dashed out and blocked their path. With red, teary eyes, she demanded, "Zhou Wei, stop right there. Are you secretly making fun of me in your head? Are you looking down on me?" Tears were welling up in her eyes, making her look incredibly pitiful. Niu Deshan stood beside her like a giant mountain, glaring down at her. His intense glare almost made Luo Shusha break down completely. She had no choice but to swallow her pride and apologize. Zhou Wei, I know I was wrong. You've been acting so weird lately. You're just doing this to make me give in and apologize first, right? Since you know you messed up, then do yourself a favor and actually change. Stop going around scamming men out of their money. And just so we're clear, I never go back to an ex. With that, he turned and strode away. Luo Shusha turned absolutely green with rage. She clenched her fists and swore to herself that she would make him regret this. No need. I'll just go ask about it myself in a bit. It wasn't easy for you to take time off to come out here. It's the autumn harvest right now, so the captain probably only gave you half a day off, right? You should hurry back, or you'll get chewed out for being late again. Deep down, he was terrified that the news of his manhood being ruined would spread. Luo Shusha couldn't bear to leave him. She asked softly, are you sure you can handle this by yourself? She thought to herself that the wedding should happen as soon as possible, but Chen Guangwen insisted, I can handle it. I just have a few broken ribs, I'm feeling much better now. My arms and legs are perfectly fine. Go back and let the team captain know that I probably won't be able to join the autumn harvest for the next few days. I know it's a critical time right now. We can't afford to leave a bad impression on the captain anymore. Otherwise, after the harvest, my chance to give the speech on behalf of the commune's educated youth will be completely gone. Yeah, the captain actually came to talk to me about this before. I agreed to it then, but we absolutely can't let the word out just yet. Once I get back, I'll work my butt off. I promise I won't hold you back. As soon as Luo Shusha left, Chen Guangwen slowly climbed out of bed. He headed straight for the doctor's office. In response to his relentless questioning, the doctor nodded with understanding. Given your condition, it's truly hard to accept all at once. But don't worry, this falls strictly under patient confidentiality. Our hospital would never just leak a patient's private medical details. Still, Chen Guangwen couldn't shake his anxiety. He kept pressing, desperate to know if the people who brought him in last night found out. The doctor set down his pen, thought for a moment, and shook his head. When they brought you in last night, you went straight into surgery. They came by to ask about you this morning, and once they heard your life wasn't in danger, they hurried right back. They shouldn't know the specifics of your injuries. I waited until you woke up this morning to even tell you. Hearing this, Chen Guangwen finally let out a massive sigh of relief. Anyone who joined the wild boar hunt last night got priority. And everyone got their share of pork. Since he killed 2 wild boars himself, the team captain made the call and rewarded him with 40 pounds of meat, along with a massive basin of pork bones. The onlookers couldn't hide their envy as they praised him. Zhou Wei is so capable and such a good son. Hey, what do you think about my niece from my hometown? Oh, hush now, all of you. Little Wei gets to decide who he wants to marry all on his own. I'm not going to meddle in it. Standing at the very back of the line, Wang Xiaolian and Luo Jieyong both looked absolutely furious. Luo Jieyong stared greedily at the food and whined, Mom, just look at how much meat the Zhou family is taking. How much is even going to be left by the time it's our turn? It's all my sister's fault for not marrying Zhou Wei. Wang Xiaolian was also secretly worrying about Chen Guangwen. I just hope he wasn't completely crippled by that crash. Luo Jieyong, what the hell are you doing cutting the line? You spineless coward, you spent all of last night hiding in your house. If you're so scared of dying, get your ass back to the end of the line. A burly guy standing nearby yanked him right out of the line. Jieyong chuckled nervously, Ha, Dahe, come on, we're brothers. What's the big deal if I cut in line? Don't you still consider me a brother? What the hell were you doing when I was running for my life from that wild boar? Brother my ass. But I'm the only son in my family. If something happened to me, what would my mom do? Mom, this is all your fault. You wouldn't let me go out last night, and now everyone is calling me a coward. Are you out of your mind? It was insanely dangerous. Did you want to end up lying in a hospital bed too? Yeah, exactly. Luo Jieyong immediately bolted to the front, using Chen Guangwen's name as an excuse to push his way in and grab some meat. He even started shouting for a bigger share. Wang Xiaolian put her hands on her hips and yelled, and why exactly can't we get a bigger share? Our Guangwen got seriously hurt hunting down those wild boars. He's still lying in a hospital bed right now. So what if we take a little extra meat? The crowd immediately erupted, calling them completely shameless. Wu Dezui fired right back at her. Are you saying the production team didn't cover his medical bills? The team paid for all of that. Are you trying to drag the captain's name through the mud? Wang Xiaolian was choked completely speechless. The brigade captain, considering how badly Chen Guangwen was injured, ended up just giving him one extra bone to boil some soup for nourishment. That afternoon, when Luo Shusha got home, she was starving. Her stomach was touching her back. She dug out the pork they were given at noon. thinking it would be perfect to stew for Chen Guangwen to help him recover. She hurriedly wolfed down a few bites of food, skipped work in the fields and started a fire to stew the meat. She chopped up several pounds of it, and threw the big bone into the pot to boil as well. Sharp-eyed Wu, Big Mouth saw smoke rising from the Luo family's chimney. She immediately ran over to Wang Xiaolian and sneered sarcastically, "Oh my. Your daughter is so sweet and considerate. She just got back, and she's already stewing meat to send to that educated youth, Chen, to build up his strength." Wang Xiaolian took one look, and sure enough, it was her own house smoking. She took off running toward home. Luo Shusha had just finished cooking the meat and packed it into a lunchbox when Wang Xiaolian burst through the door. Seeing the string bag in her daughter's hand, she was absolutely furious. "You came back first thing this morning. Skipped out on work, all just to cook up my meat. And take it to the hospital for that Chen guy." She glared at her in bitter disappointment, furious that her daughter wasn't even married yet but was already siding with an outsider. Guangwen didn't get his share of the meat. "What's wrong with me bringing him some? You just shut your mouth. You aren't even married to him yet. Every time he comes over to eat, he shows up empty-handed. Just treat this meat as a sign of respect for me. I forbid you from taking it." She then pushed her daughter to hurry up and get back to the fields. Luo Shusha thought it over for a second and felt her mother actually had a point. So she said, "Mom, I'll head out to the fields with you right now. I can't drag Guangwen down." Wang Xiaolian quickly corrected her, "You mean you can't drag our family down?" But when Luo Shusha mentioned that Chen Guangwen was going to give a speech representing the commune, Wang Xiaolin's eyes instantly lit up. "Really? He actually has a chance to go work at the commune? Then you make sure to go see him tomorrow. Mom will boil up some bone soup for you, to bring over and help build up his strength. You know, bone broth to heal a broken bone. Did you hear? That educated youth, Chen, is getting transferred to work at the commune." "What? Just because he got hurt catching a wild boar? Are they out of their minds?" But in this lifetime, Chen Guangwen wasn't necessarily guaranteed a spot at the commune. That evening after work, Zhou Wei finished his dinner, and carried a portion of meat over to the educated youth compound. Oh Ruying was in the courtyard washing clothes, and greeted him warmly, "Comrade Zhou, are you looking for Shu?" "Yes, thanks to Shu stepping in to help last night, I came by specifically to thank him today." When Shu Rong came out and saw Zhou Wei, he looked a bit surprised and shy. He said politely, "Comrade Zhou, what brings you here? Thank you for helping me with my work today. My hand is pretty much healed up." Zhou Wei, however, just shoved the food container into his hands, and said earnestly, "This is some meat my mother cooked. Eat up and get your strength back. I'll take care of your share of the work for the next few days. I really don't like owing people favors, especially when it comes to saving a life." Shu Rong's head snapped up. The food container in his hands was warm, and it smelled absolutely delicious. He thought of his father's frail, bony body, and a sudden sting of tears hit his nose. He tried to decline, "No, really, there's no need." But Zhou Wei quickly cut him off. "Just eat it. My mom's stewed meat is amazing. I've got all your work covered from here on out. You just focus on resting and healing up. I'm gonna head back now." The food container felt heavy, packed completely full of meat. "Why don't you go look for her?" Luo Shusha rolled her eyes. "Yeah, right, I am not going." But Luo Jiyoung kept pushing her, insisting that Zhou Wei was definitely just trying to get her attention. Luo Shusha was talked into it by her younger brother, making up an excuse to go out for a stroll. Before she knew it, she ended up at the Zhou family's house. The kids saw her and darted inside in a flash. She muttered, "How rude. Is your youngest uncle home?" "Yeah, are you here to see my uncle?" "Of course not, I'm just passing by." The kid blurted out with innocent honesty, "My mom said you're a bad woman. And that you're not good enough for my uncle." Luo Shusha's face twisted with pure rage. She shoved the kid hard to the ground, scraping the skin right off his little palms. "Wah," the kid bawled, "you are a bad woman. You hit kids." The other children immediately ran back inside to tattle. Hearing the commotion, Kui Yufang stormed out. Seeing her son sitting on the ground bawling, and Luo Shusha standing over him looking downright vicious, she exploded. "Luo Shusha, have you got no shame at all? How could you lay your hands on a child? You dare hit my little Xiaobao? I'll tear you apart." Luo Shusha was already regretting her actions, but Zhou Wei was nowhere to be seen. Kui Yufang pointed right at Luo Shusha's nose, cursing her out. The child on the ground was still crying his eyes out. Kui Yufang scoffed, "What did I ever say about you? Everything I said was the truth. You showing up here out of the blue tonight. Don't tell me you're not looking for Zhou Wei. Are you here to leech office for free food again?" Shaking with anger, Luo Shusha fired back, "You're the one with no shame. Don't think I don't know what you've been teaching the kids to call me behind my back." Kui Yufang grabbed her sister-in-law, Qian Wei, and laughed mockingly. Look at her, sister-in-law. Didn't I tell you she's more shameless than the rest of us? She always acts so high and mighty. But deep down, she's exactly like her mother. Just a sneaky piece of work. Luo Shusha's eyes turned red, burning with intense hatred. Zhou Wei, are you really just gonna sit there and let your sister-in-law insult me like this? Get out here right now. Tell them, did I ever trick you for meat? I was just passing by. Did I even come looking for you? Inside, Zhou Wei had been reading a book. At the sound of his name, he furrowed his brows tightly. And you still claim you're not looking for Zhou Wei? Then what on earth are you yelling about? Isn't it just because you saw our family got a lot of meat today? The neighbors had all come out to watch the drama. Luo Shusha was filled with bitter regret and just wanted to get out of there as fast as possible. Forcing down her emotions, she crouched down and apologized to Zhao Bao. Zhao Bao, I didn't mean to push you just now. I didn't know you couldn't keep your balance. I'm so sorry. Can you forgive me? Lu Kuihua patted Zhao Bao gently, prompting him. What does grandma usually teach you? Zhao Bao said in his sweet, childish voice. It's okay, I forgive you. Hearing that he forgave her, Luo Shusha finally breathed a sigh of relief and hurried to say, well, everything is fine now. I'll be heading back. She didn't want to stick around for another second. Her resentment toward Zhou Wei grew even deeper. She silently vowed to make him regret this sooner or later. Oh, Shusha and Chen Jixin are back. Is Chen feeling any better? Can he still join the autumn harvest? He's been resting for almost 2 weeks now. What kind of nonsense are you spouting? I told you he broke his ribs. You know what they say, a bone injury takes 100 days to heal. Don't I know Guangwen's condition best? So, is educated youth Chen doing alright now? He's fine, just broke 2 ribs. I'm feeling much better. Thank you so much for the other day, Comrade Zhou. It's what anyone would do. There's really no need for thanks. No matter who was being attacked by a wild boar, I would have stepped in to help. Don't let it weigh on you, educated youth Chen. The important thing is that you're okay. Chen Guangwen's mouth twitched. The two of them had nothing left to say. The moment Zhou Wei walked away, the smile on his face instantly vanished, leaving nothing but coldness and bitter resentment. I heard that you'll be representing us sent-down youths to give a report at the commune. How did you guys find out? He was both shocked that the news had spread, and secretly hoping the captain had already finalized the decision. While you were in the hospital, the team divided up the wild boar meat. Auntie Wang said you were injured. I know, I was the one who asked them to pick up my share for me. Chen Guangwen was seething with anger inside, but he couldn't just lash out. He could only force himself to look calm. I know, I was the one who asked them to pick it up. But Oh Ruying thought his expression looked incredibly strange. Shusha, did you go around telling people about me going to the commune to give the report? Luo Shusha didn't think it was a big deal. Yeah, I just casually mentioned it to my mom. You're definitely going to be the one to go anyway. He violently shoved the lunchbox away. I'll let it slide this time. From now on, you are never to do this again. Guangwen, I didn't mean to. With your abilities, that spot is practically yours anyway. Chen Guangwen took the opportunity to claim his body needed nutrients to recover, demanding to eat meat. After heading home, Luo Shusha forcefully badgered her mother, Wang Xiaolian, into giving up a tiny piece of meat to cook. Although Wang Xiaolian was reluctant, she eventually gave in to her daughter's relentless nagging and coaxing. Luo Shusha eagerly swung open the cupboard, convinced that the way to a man's heart was through his stomach. The next day, during the autumn harvest, Luo Shusha purposely wore a bright red shirt. She headed to the fields to deliver breakfast to Chen Guangwen, making sure to strut right past Zhou Wei. She shot him a dirty look. Guangwen, come here. Hurry up and eat something. Big Mouth Wu couldn't help but scold them for being shameless. How disgusting. Everyone is busting their backs with the autumn harvest, and what are those two doing? They have absolutely no shame. The captain listened to the villagers' gossip. He also noticed how unusually suffocating and humid the weather was, making him frown deeply. After finishing his own breakfast, Zhou Wei walked over to warn the captain. Looking at the sky, you don't think it's actually going to pour, do you? We really need to speed things up. We need to push hard to get all the crops harvested and brought in over the next few days. The captain nodded. He decided to dispatch more hands for an emergency harvest. Captain, don't listen to Zhou Wei's nonsense. Guangwen and I are officially courting. What's wrong with me bringing him some food? Zhou Wei is just jealous. The captain furiously scolded her. Do you have nothing better to do all day? What goes through your head all day besides this romantic nonsense? Look at you. Do you think dressing up like that is appropriate for fieldwork? Zhou Wei couldn't help but let out a helpless chuckle from the sidelines. There's nothing for us to even talk about. Come on everyone, put your backs into it. Let's take advantage of this good weather and rush to get all the grain safely stored away. Zhou Wei stepped in to block his path. That rabbit ran out from my section of the field. I'm the one who found their nest first. So what if you found it first? We're the ones who actually caught it. You were the first to spot the wild boar. But I didn't see you catch the wild boar. Are you trying to say that just because you spotted the boars first, it means you caught them? Chen Guangwen was completely left speechless. He had to change his tune. No, you didn't. I spotted them first. I just lost focus for a second and they ran over to your side. Anyway, you look at it, finders keepers means we all get a share. Shouldn't I get one of them? Not a chance. If you want meat, use your own skills. What do you say, Zhou Wei? Lao Niu is right. I didn't catch these rabbits on my own. If you want meat, you've got to earn it. You guys are crossing the line. I'm telling the captain. These rabbits were found in the fields. They're communal property. If you won't share, then nobody gets to eat them. You better think this through. Niu Deshan looked nervously at Zhou Wei. Lao Zhou, what do we do? He's threatening us. Who cares? Let him get the captain. Go ahead and tell him. Chen Guangwen turned green with rage and stormed off. What do we do? He actually went to get the captain. Why did you have to provoke him? What are you scared of? Did anyone else see us catch the rabbits? Right. Hand the rabbits over to me. I know a spot no one will ever find. I'll go hide them. You head back and keep working. You know what to say later, right? The two shared a sly smile, and Niu Deshan nodded. I know. Niu Deshan shoved the rabbits into Zhou Wei's hands, and ran back to the fields to work. Zhou Wei grabbed the rabbits and headed to a small ditch by the bushes. Once he made sure no one was around, he slipped the rabbits into his secret space. He then nonchalantly strolled back to the cornfield. Meanwhile, Chen Guangwen had found the captain, and was wildly exaggerating the story, claiming they didn't even respect the captain's authority. I heard you boys caught some rabbits. Wow, meat is just throwing itself at your feet lately. Sent what over? Captain, what are you talking about? What rabbits? I've just been working. All I saw were two little field mice stealing corn. There are no rabbits. He's lying. I saw them catch those rabbits with my own eyes. Captain, don't listen to his garbage. They just don't want to hand them over. Saying that, he marched into the cornfield and dragged Niu Deshan out. Niu Deshan glared impatiently at Chen. Are you out of your mind? What rabbits? Stop pulling me. You're making me drop the corn. Niu Deshan wiped his sweat, complaining about the heat while taking the chance to show off his hard work. This damn weather is suffocating. Captain, I'm almost done with my section of the cornfield. Put me in the sweet potato patch this afternoon. Nobody digs up sweet potatoes faster than me. Chen Guangwen furiously cut him off. Stop changing the subject. Tell us where you hid the rabbits. Zhou Wei and Niu Deshan fired back in unison. Yeah, are you seeing things, Chen? Where would we even get rabbits? You barge in here accusing us of catching rabbits. Why don't you find them and show us, then? The field is right here. How many places are there to even hide anything? You claim they caught rabbits and kept them? Well, then go find the rabbits first. Chen Guangwen had no choice but to dig through their bags, scouring the entire cornfield and the dried-up ditch. But he found absolutely nothing. The captain gave Chen a harsh scolding. You didn't find any rabbits. How do you explain this? We're right in the middle of a busy autumn harvest. You're just looking for trouble because you have nothing better to do. Look at how little work you've actually done in the fields. With your mind entirely focused on other people, how can you possibly do a good job? Chen Guangwen was left totally speechless. Under the team captain's orders, he could only bow his head and apologize. Where exactly did you two hide that rabbit? Chen, you've definitely worked yourself into a daze. What rabbit are you even talking about? Exactly, Chen. If you're tired, just take a break. Chen Guangwen's face turned completely dark with rage at the two of them. He even started to doubt if his own eyes had deceived him. Between his stifled anger and the sweltering heat, he suddenly couldn't catch his breath while working, and his face turned stark white. With a heavy thud, he collapsed to the ground in a dead faint. Someone spotted him and let out a terrified scream. The news spread like wildfire. Luo Shusha dropped her tools and sprinted straight toward the clinic. While eating under the shade of a tree, Niu Deshan mumbled, "Do you think we actually made him so mad that he passed out? Well, then he's way too fragile. By the way, where did you actually hide that rabbit?" Zhou Wei took a sip of water and smirked, "Take a guess." Niu Deshan shook his head, "I have no idea. Even Chen Guangwen couldn't find it, so stop keeping me in suspense." Zhou Wei laughed, "We'll gather at your place tonight." Suddenly, a voice rang out, "Hey everyone, come look at this. This educated youth Shu is absolutely shameless. He deliberately grabbed my lunchbox. And he won't even admit it." Shu Rong kept his head down and quietly defended himself, "I didn't. This is my lunchbox. I didn't take the wrong one. Comrade Luo, you've made a mistake." Luo Shusha argued back fiercely, "I most certainly did not. There is braised pork inside this box. I just made it this morning. How could I not recognize my own cooking? It's obvious that you were craving it. Wanted to eat my braised pork, and took it on purpose. You just didn't expect me to catch you red-handed. The crowd gathered around, chattering all at once. Shu Rong just wanted to swallow his pride, apologize, and get out of there. But just as Shu Rong was about to walk away, Zhou Wei suddenly marched over and demanded, "That is absolute nonsense. What makes you so sure that braised pork is yours?" Luo Shusha's face flushed deep red. She snapped back at Zhou Wei, "What are you doing here? I made that braised pork myself. Why wouldn't I recognize it? He saw my lunchbox was fully packed with meat, and got greedy." "Mom, when did my sister even make braised pork? Did she secretly cook it for herself? Stop talking nonsense and keep your voice down. That isn't your sister's meat. You claim you made this braised pork. Then surely your whole family is having it for lunch today, right? So tell your mom and brother to open their lunchboxes. Let's see if there's the exact same braised pork inside. If they match, then this meat is indeed yours." Wang Xiaolian and Luo Jieyong scrambled to cover their lunchboxes. Luo Jieyong stubbornly shot back, "Yeah, we already finished eating all of our braised pork. What are you gonna do about it? That is definitely my sister's meat. Actually, this braised pork was made by my family. I specifically gave a portion to educated youth Shu today, to thank him for saving my life before. The braised pork I have right here in my hands came from the exact same iron pot as his. It was cooked by the same person, so the color, smell, and taste are completely identical." The crowd took one look and realized they were indeed exactly the same. Someone immediately called out, "Shusha, so you were the one trying to steal the meat all along? You are all talking nonsense. Shut up, careful, or I'll rip your mouths right open. Who even cares about his stupid braised pork anyway? And who cares about Zhou Wei? Comrade Luo, you falsely accused educated youth Shu. Shouldn't you apologize to his face? Your daughter framed someone else for stealing her meat. Now she's the one who stole the meat. Isn't an apology the bare minimum here? Or would you rather we report this to the police? Once they're involved, a simple sorry won't cut it." The captain also ordered Luo Shusha to apologize. She could only lower her head and mutter, "I'm sorry. Educated youth Shu, I was wrong. I falsely accused you. I'm sorry, I completely lost my mind. I framed you on purpose. I was completely out of line. I'm sorry, okay?" Listen to her, acting like she's the victim while apologizing. So dramatic. "Thank you for getting me out of that mess earlier. You should be the one to eat this meat. Please, don't bring me any more meat. Times are tough for everyone right now. You've already brought me so much food." Zhou Wei looked at her with a complicated expression. Remembering how Shu Rong died because of him in his past life, he felt an overwhelming urge to make amends. Out in the fields, Zhou Wei apologized profusely. "Educated youth Shu, I'm so incredibly sorry. I never meant to cause you all this trouble." He explained that he had absolutely no feelings left for Luo Shusha, and begged her to just take the meat. "Everyone already saw it. Even if you don't eat it, they'll all assume you did anyway." Shu Rong sighed and accepted it, but made him promise never to do something like that again. Zhou Wei nodded solemnly. That evening, after their shift ended, Zhou Wei hauled a basket full of rabbits over to Niu Deshan's place. Niu Deshan was already boiling water in the kitchen. The two of them quickly prepped the biggest rabbit. They let the kids play with the baby bunnies. The children excitedly patched up an old broken cage. They planned to raise the little bunnies inside it, anticipating their secret meat feast. "Do you think we're all blind? That meat belonged to the commune." "Whoa, educated youth Chen. Why are you up so early?" He replied absent-mindedly, "I couldn't sleep." The truth was, he had been awake all night, obsessing over that whole mess. "What's on your mind?" the captain asked. Chen Guangwen nervously brought up the commune's reporting quota, asking if the spot had already been filled. "Educated youth Chen, that decision is already final. The spot is going to Li Zhangong. Don't let it get you down, just keep working hard." "But captain, you promised me. How could you just swap me out at the last second? Are you questioning my authority?" Chen Guangwen panicked and quickly backed down. The captain's voice turned ice cold. "The list I submitted was reviewed and filtered by our superiors. It's not entirely up to me," he snapped, cutting him off completely. "That's enough. The organization has made its final decision." "Educated youth Chen, you fool. That scandal between you and Luo Shusha is the talk of the entire village. Even the commune leaders know all about it. But we're officially dating now. Isn't that enough? Any relationship that doesn't lead to marriage is just pure hooliganism. Go home and take a good hard look at yourself." Chen Guangwen stumbled away, muttering in a daze. Marriage? He never actually planned on marrying Luo Shusha. But if he didn't, his future was ruined. "Educated youth Chen, watch out. There's a snake. Watch out." Chen Guangwen completely lost his mind with fear, stumbling backward in a panic. He twisted his ankle and collapsed, quite literally wetting his pants right there on the spot. With lightning reflexes, Zhou Wei swung his hoe down hard. A perfect strike, right to the snake's vital spot. Zhou Wei scooped the dead snake off the ground. He turned back with a massive grin. Educated youth Chen, you okay there? Oh man, did you seriously just pee your pants over this? He laughed, adding that the snake would make a great meal. Niu Deshan leaned in and whistled. Whoa, this snake is pretty plump. The crowd backed away in fear, while Chen Guangwen stood there trembling all over. Still want this snake now? No. Don't go running to the team captain to snitch again, alright? I won't. Just get out of here. Once Chen Guangwen finally calmed down, he realized he had wet his pants and quickly crossed his legs to hide it. Seeing everyone staring, he yelled out of pure embarrassment and rage, what the hell are you looking at? Like you guys aren't scared of snakes. This is a perfectly normal reaction. Alright, break it up, everyone. Leave me alone, I just need a minute to myself. It is all because of you. My chance to give the presentation at the commune is completely ruined. Are Zhou Wei and Shu refusing to let it go? What apology? Just because you came looking for me before and got caught by Zhou Wei's group. Now the commune leaders know everything. They gave my spot to Li Zhongnong. But aren't we together? Tell me what I need to do to help you. Chen Guangwen made up an excuse about being thirsty to send her away. The moment Luo Shusha turned her back, he jumped up and sprinted toward the youth settlement as fast as he could. Zhou Wei and Niu Deshan watched him scrambling away across the fields, with that huge dark stain still on his pants. They laughed so hard they could barely breathe. During the lunch break, Zhou Wei cleaned the snake and threw it in the pot to stew. As it cooked, he thought to himself. In his past life, Chen Guangwen had used that commune presentation to smoothly return to the city. But in this life, his reputation was completely ruined. There was no way he was getting promoted that easily now. Zhou Wei was just relieved he had managed to keep the jade pendant safe. And with it, the good luck stayed with him. The autumn harvest finally came to an end. Everyone was busy drying the grain in the sun, and the mood was light and joyful. Someone laughed and said they could finally go home and rest. But standing in the crowd, Chen Guangwen was the only one looking utterly miserable. He figured he had to marry Luo Shusha, just to salvage his reputation for now. As for the future, he was already secretly plotting to divorce her later on. Even if my brother-in-law is getting married, he doesn't need this much meat, right? Shut your mouth. Who says my Xiao Wei doesn't deserve it? That meat belongs to Xiao Wei anyway, so stop eyeing it. Once Xiao Wei settles down and gets married, the three of you brothers are going to split the household. Mom, Dad, and my little sister can come live with me. I'll take good care of you guys. Parents are supposed to live with the eldest son. That is the rule around here. Why split up the family out of nowhere? You were just trying to take advantage of us. Once the household is split, you are all on your own. Second sister-in-law Zhou turned completely pale with embarrassment, but she still wasn't backing down. Why does Zhou Wei get absolutely everything? That jade pendant was passed down from your grandfather to protect Xiao Wei's life. It was originally supposed to go to your oldest uncle's family line. Even if it didn't go to Xiao Wei, it still wouldn't belong to you. And as for the meat Xiao Wei hunted, how much of it have you stuffed your faces with? Every single penny he earns goes straight to the family fund. Meanwhile, you are secretly stashing away your own private money. Tell me, who is really getting the unfair advantage here? Are you seriously that blind? Mom, Dad, we see it clearly. We know we messed up. As his older brothers, we were the ones who were supposed to take care of our younger siblings, but instead, we let Xiao Wei take care of us. But do not worry, as the eldest brother, I promise I will properly look after them from now on. Standing off to the side, Zhou Wen hung his head in shame. Zhou Wen remembered how his parents treated him when they caught the wild boar not long ago. I felt it too. I know I was wrong. From now on, I'll help our oldest brother take care of the younger siblings. Forgive her if she spoke out of turn, please don't take it to heart. I'll give her a good talking to when we get home. Shut up. If you try to ruin the bond between us brothers again, don't blame me for getting nasty. I didn't mean anything by it. I'll just keep my mouth shut, alright? Enough. Since everything is out in the open now, moving forward, whether we divide the household or not, you are all blood brothers. When trouble comes, you must stand united, help each other, and support each other against the outside world. Don't become a laughing stock by turning on your own brothers. The reason we brought up splitting the household is because we hope you three brothers can focus on building good lives for your own families. It's not meant to tear you apart. As the three brothers listened to their parents' words, the tension in the room finally began to fade.